of the day after Shakhmatyarov went for a quick draw against Mr. Maxime-Vachier Graf. Now they have started their Armageddon game.
Yeah, and it's an interesting opening choice by both Schach and MVL. Frankly, Schach plays the e3 bishop e2 line against the Grunfeld line, which was sort of introduced to the modern top-level chess by Alexander Grishuk a couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple of years ago, actually closer to maybe 6 to 7 years ago. And MVL goes for the least concrete and the most double-edged reply to the whole thing. So very sharp position on the board. Apologies for the slight technical hiccups. This is not the camera we were looking for, but we'll get the correct camera in a moment.
Will we?
Well, the assumption has to be that we will, because otherwise, is the life worth living?
We'll get something, but for now, I think we have to resort to
Yeah, there it is.
this view. You see, he's moving. It's not the frame rate. The hand was moving.
The hand definitely was moving, and it continues moving. He does the old Boris Gelfand thing of taking a pawn and rotating it just out of view of your opponent. It seems like a very typical hanging pawns type position where the situation is obviously very double-edged. And I think Schach has every reason to be happy with this outcome of the opening, because lots to play for, very complicated position, lots of chances for him to create problems for MVL. The critical move here should be knight d3, trying to maybe play knight b4, maybe play knight e5 if you get lucky and can prepare it properly. Black probably wants to play b6, b5.
Oh. We don't have a good place to sit.
Yeah.
Maybe here.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Still haven't seen it. So you think Schach's happy?
Well, I think you're supposed to be reasonably happy in a position like this in an Armageddon. 28 pieces on the board. Lots of plans. I think Black is comfortable if we're talking about the actual evaluation of the position, but I'm not sure if that should matter such a great deal in an Armageddon game.
Oh no, I'd be quite happy with Black. The knight on b2 looks weird. This looks like all the black pieces are very well placed for this hanging pawn structure. You can start considering b5 at an opportune moment.
Yeah, bishop d6, b5 played. And yeah, I will say that knight c3, a4, b2 does not really inspire me with the utmost confidence, but I still think maybe what I was saying was true 3 moves ago. That particular sequence, I will grant, is maybe not the best.
Yeah, c5, because what else? If you allow c4, you are just fighting for a draw. MVL went bishop to d5, queen to a3.
Yeah, now even knight e4 followed by e5 is something you can definitely consider because of how misplaced at least some of White's pieces are. He does go knight e4. Schach even plays bishop f4, which is slightly surprising to me because I thought giving Black an additional tempo to play e5 was ill-advised. But MVL is, as I mentioned, he has a lot of kind of inbuilt Grunfeld understanding. So he goes knight b8 to get this knight over to a clearly better square.
Also curious, but he's saying, I don't need any any breaks for now, my pieces are fine. If I get knight c6, a5, b4, more power to you. Yeah, looks fine too. I don't see anything dramatic. I was curious about knight e5. Do you ever consider bishop takes e5?
In some positions for sure, yeah. In some positions for sure.
There's some questions about guidelines for hanging pawns. Generally, yeah, do something active. Try to manufacture the d5 breakthrough or create an attack on the king. It's very hard to do here because there's not a lot of pieces around the black king.
Yeah, knight e5, knight c6. MVL disagrees, yeah, decides not to weaken his position. But I mean, he is just absolutely fine here. I guess you have to play something like knight d3 or maybe bishop f3 here. He goes f3. That's, I guess he wants knight f6, bishop b5 to get the dark square bishops off. Is there before knight c3 here? This might be quite decent, actually.
a6 is hanging, but you don't care.
Well, we might be winning more. Yeah, look, just
b4 plate.
Yeah, queen a6, knight c3, the rook is hanging, and you have to play something like rook d2, I assume, so as not to lose any material. And yeah, I'm
just takes. No,
it's very. Why did he take on b7? That just doesn't feel right at all.
He's allowing the Zwischenschach. He wants king f2.
No, but also bishop takes b7 is very strong now. And then bishop takes d4. No, this game is kind of over now.
Oh, this sort of matters.
Yeah. He played bishop c4, yeah. I thought this might be what he meant. Either he missed that tactic or he decided that this is offers him the best shot. But I think it's just not very promising. Knight d1, rook d1, and rook e d8, for instance, or even e6, e5 probably some kind of a forced draw. But rook e d8 black is just better.
We should repeat that rook d2, keeping the material, just loses to bishop takes d4 check. That's why he's forced into this exchange sacrifice.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to believe. MVL took, knight takes, rook e d8, bishop d6, bishop f8.
I would have actually, in particular in the context of this game, I would have taken on d6 and played rook d8, but and what MVL has done kind of wins, which is an improvement. So play bishop f8, bishop b5, bishop c5, and yeah, bishop f6, and he can play bishop b6 now. That's the simplest way, I guess.
MVL is not going to lose this game.
Or bishop a7, yeah, similar point, but MVL is, I think, well, objectively probably winning and does not need to win, so.
But he probably doesn't hate winning either.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he takes a draw offer, but I think Schach just doesn't offer a draw and continues playing, and then MVL eventually probably converts this because he'll get to move 60 very, very easily on 2 minutes here. And it's slightly early, but I don't really expect any more surprises in this game, so we will count this one as a win for both of us in the prediction
We
stakes.
both predicted this?
Yep.
In MVL we trust.
Yeah, and bishop 6 is a final precise move, stopping king c2, king b3, and yeah.
White never ever wins. So yeah, Carmageddon strikes again if you force a draw with white in the classical.
I mean, Schach can play a4 here, and probably should play a4, but both taking and not taking is just absolutely safe for black.
Yeah, this was not a good day at the office for Schach.
Nope.
He's still fighting.
Yeah, this at least creates, you know, a topic for MVL to think about, but...
Because you're tempted to take on d3, but then you at least have to calculate that.
Yeah, he went bishop a6, now white kind of is obliged to play knight c5, because if you allow king e7, king d6, you will once again be probably just completely lost. So knight c5, and I guess black goes bishop f1, and then after a5, even king e7, no, sorry, allowing a6 is probably a mistake, yeah. I thought I can play bishop d4 here, but it doesn't actually stop the pawn, yeah. But on the previous move, bishop d4 is very serviceable.
What do they do? I went bishop b5, not bishop f1, bishop a4. Well, Schach's still fighting. Bishop d4, of course, here. Black should not lose. But...
yeah, and this is what Maxime does, and yeah, black should kind of never lose this position.
Now the king is close enough.
Yeah, probably, not probably, definitely a very easy draw without the pawn on e6, but with the pawn on e6, black definitely is not going to be particularly taxed. Kind of brings back the memories, yeah, because the easiest way to hold this position is just to forget about the b pawn exists and kind of follow the white king with the black king, which is what I could have done instead of resigning against Kramnik. But yeah, not a difficult draw.
Schach keeps making progress, has won a pawn. The problem is he will not win the game. In spite of his heroic efforts to make something happen here. It's just not enough in the position.
Yeah, I think now that the a pawn is actually gone, there's not a lot of sense in continuing.
It's hard to create a passed pawn that can not be eaten by the black bishop.
Yeah.
Once it hits a dark square. And
Listen,
yeah, draw a grid.
Listen to me carefully. You will be eaten.
Exactly.
So we have the first results of the day, a somewhat uneventful, you can even say theoretical draw in the classical game between Shakhmatyarov and maxime-vachier, and then Maxime, frankly, very comfortably holding a draw in the Armageddon. So Maxime gets a point and a half today. We'll get to the whole standings later on. Because we still have them open, Garechkin actually wins yet another game in the candidates, and Lachno is defending a slightly worse position. So the
That's not Goyachkin.
that's not Garechkina for sure, but Garechkina has won against Gunina, who
7.5 out of 9 for Skoryachkina, who is destroying this field, and we can no longer say, but it's whatever, 5 more rounds to go.
Yeah.
She's running away with it.
yeah, it's by this point you just have to say she is an overwhelming. I mean, it's basically by this point hers to lose is how you can describe it, I guess. Yeah.
It's hard for her to lose it by this point.
Yeah, even this is true, but yeah, it's no longer really a race between her and her competitors. It's a race between her and her nerves.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, if the fact that she is like a week away from the world title match doesn't get to her horribly, she should just cruise to a tournament victory. She's like 2.5 points ahead of her closest pursuer. So very, very well played by young Alexandra. Happy for her because she is a very promising young player, and nice and more draws actually. The Wesley game finished in a draw whilst we were watching the first Armageddon.
That's a bit of a surprise. That not that it's in a draw, but that it finished so quickly. But yeah, Wesley just found a clean way to simplify here.
They went for something forced, and Lev decided not to press. Bishop d1 is a move which is basically a draw offer, but I don't think he was better, so I can understand why this happened. And there will be another Armageddon in which actually we did not take the same thing. I took
Who
Lev.
did I take? My man Wesley?
Yeah, you took Wesley and I took Lev, so there's something at stake for us in this game. Always nice.
Go Wesley. Go Wesley. Go Wesley.
By the
Probably
way,
start in around 20 minutes as usual.
by the way, because of the Hearthstone Grandmasters, I did not watch the. Do you know how the Garage rematch finished yesterday? It must be all over Twitter, but I somehow managed to completely avoid all news of it.
I assume you're not talking to me, right?
I am talking to you.
How the Garage rematch finished? What's that?
Grudge rematch.
Grudge?
Greg.
The
Grudge.
Lawrence match.
Yeah.
No, for the first time in history, Lawrence Trent, in a high-pressure situation, did not come through and actually lost.
Score?
I have no idea.
But Greg won again, yeah?
Yeah.
Not a shock, frankly, but I was wondering if LT cooked up something really, really special and just kept on, I don't know, maybe winning every single game out of the opening.
Why exactly would you wonder that?
I don't know. He felt very, very optimistic about the whole thing. I couldn't really.
Have you ever not seen him very, very optimistic before something, and then have you ever seen him triumph?
Harsh?
No, it's just asking questions.
I would even say rude.
What? I apologize. No, I meant no offense. I'm just... He normally is very optimistic.
Yeah, no, that much is true. But I thought, you know, after the way the first match went, I was wondering if Lawrence went sort of into the laboratory and found some weaknesses, and his pre-match trash talk was based on some kind of
Some fresh bird ideas?
whatever. But apparently not.
No, I heard it was a very close match. It's a great pity. I did not have the chance to watch them battle it out. But yeah, Lawrence lost. Greg Shahadi wins again.
Greg, for the first time, said good match to Lawrence on Twitter, says VS85. Yeah, that must mean that Lawrence came somewhat close.
So nice to be a gracious winner, no?
Yeah. What's happening here? This is extremely weird. All of these
No idea.
moves, all of these moves look
13.5, 9.5.
strange. Yeah. So he took on e4 and then decided not to play bishop e7. The assumption is because of some bishop c3 related things.
Oh, you mean here, yeah? Because
Yeah.
bishop e7, knight c3, but
No, takes, and he played this move g6, which we did not really consider very closely.
It's a bit odd, no?
Yeah.
He wants to lure the bishop to c3. It's costing some time. This was played. a6. What's a6 about? Some rook a7?
Maybe some rook a7 in some kind of distant future.
Knight f3, that might still be the z5.
Yeah, there's always the f5 thing, which is why I think Magnus goes e3, aiming to bring the knight out by e2 and d4. It's such a strange looking position. So if let's say we go rook g7 here. Oh, sorry, I mean bishop g7, but I'm assuming the rook might be on g7 in reasonably short time.
No, I guess e3 means he wants knight e2.
And apparently it was 9.5, 9.5, and then Lawrence lost the last bunch. Yeah, that's sad for LT. I thought maybe I can just take. I don't really like this bishop on g4 very much. Rook a7. So it's rook a7, rook c7, and then I will start, you know, slowly considering how exactly I want to come out of the corner, because the knight on b8 is horrible, but also I've covered all my weaknesses and I do have an extra pawn, so...
Yeah, hard to believe white can have very much. So can I lure your bishop away, or do you just keep it here and say, whenever the knight moves, I take it?
I mean, if you give me a tempo, I probably do play bishop e6 or something. Although, yeah, I actually kind of like the idea of killing that knight and not letting it reach any sensible squares. But let's say even here, I don't know about e6 actually. Let's go bishop c8.
All the way.
Yeah, rook a7. Rook c7, and once again I want to play a5, rook, I don't know, g7, and...
I'm concerned about c5.
Yeah, also I'm kind of hinting I might play c5 if you allow me.
Yeah, I want to play king somewhere, but then c5 looks like it could be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't feel like white is risking all that much, because these pawns are always weak and they're fixed and so on, but it's hard to believe he's better too, right?
Yeah, I would suspect this is some kind of equality, and for all kinds of stupid romantic reasons you want to prefer white here, but I don't think it's necessarily justified.
No, I'm team pawn, as always. Things a pawn up. Oh yeah, this guy single-handedly currently restricts these three guys, so it's hard to believe.
Yeah, and Mr. Dodgy in a weird kind of a range merge attempt to throw shade at two people at once, I suspect.
It's well played. That's
Yeah.
the art.
Yeah, says 13-9 isn't so bad against a Grandmaster. Yeah. The point here being that Greg isn't actually a Grandmaster, so not quite sure. You never know with Dodgy, but yeah, I feel like
We kind of know.
yeah, I feel like that was a kind of a what's it called, a double barrel shot fired.
No, it's a multi-purpose move. Just one barrel hitting two guys.
Yeah, that as well. And yeah, they got to what we were describing extremely quickly. Yeah, like no waiting, no suffering.
I'm not sure how much Lawrence talk I can stomach, but Evans Gambit is asking, is Lawrence better than Peak Larson? I guess would be no.
And then he corrected himself.
Peak Lasker.
Yeah.
Actually, at some point I studied this book. I forgot what it's called. I think it's by Colin Crouch. And it's basically about the old masters of the game. And I was very impressed with how strong Larson was, because I'd seen some games, the famous blah 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 psychological play against Capablanca and so on. But if you actually make an effort to go through his games move by move, the guy was incredibly strong.
And we're talking about Lasker, right? Because we once again...
Yeah, did I say Larson again?
Yeah.
Larson, no question. I meant Lasker, yeah.
Yeah, I think Lasker is... I think the issue with, let's say, the early 20th century, like all the best players of that era, is that they themselves were very good at chess, but they were playing against, like in a large tournament, the field would consist of like half amateurs by today's standards. Like, I mean, Lasker is a very, very good player. Nobody, I think, even breathes a word against Kappa in general. Kappa is universally accepted to be, in many ways, ahead of his time. Alekhine is like way ahead of his time. But yeah, if you buy those tournament books and start looking through games between the very top and those people who are like
Lasker, Capablanca and stuff.
Yeah.
It's serious business.
But what I mean is, like, even in the best tournaments, like in the Linarises and Vaikanzes of their time.
No, I would have crushed Nottingham 1916 or something, because, like 2/3 of the field are like 2100 level players. But
Yeah.
Lasker was extremely good, is what I'm saying.
That sounds harsh, but might not
I think
actually
that's
be
fair.
harsh. Yeah. So like half the field could actually have been set in a simul there, and
So no, I think Lasker was better than Lawrence, but that for a change was not meant to be an insult to Lawrence. I think he was much better than me as well. He was just, a very unique talent.
Yep.
And obviously, cross-era comparisons never make much sense and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
He didn't have engines, but I think he was a tremendous player.
yeah, I wasn't aware of Colin Crouch's work on the subject. I know that Dr. John Nunn at some point did a number of at least articles, and maybe there's a book out as well, on the whole thorny field of cross-era comparisons.
How much they blunder per move and so on in these tournaments.
And, I think the conclusion was generally that the really good players, the ones that we know, the ones that, in particular, the world champions, obviously, but also their closest competitors were still extremely good, but the general level has improved absolute leaps and bounds in the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years.
Alright, so let's take stock. We have the Carlsen game where currently the feeling is he has enough for the pawn, but no more than that. We have the Vichy game, which is one of these Petrovs, where until proven otherwise, I just assume black is solid and it will end in a draw. I don't see any reason to state otherwise here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think White sort of made some progress, because I think f7, f6 is a move you generally would prefer not to be making. It makes your knight e6 potential ideas a lot weaker, because the knight on e6 will be kind of balancing on thin air instead of a very nice solid square supported by the pawn on f7. It restricts your own bishop, it makes your king side weaker. Like if White could actually get h4, h5 here, and then start playing for some kind of knight h4, maybe even knight g6 in some positions, but just land something on f5. I think if all of that would happen, you could start making an argument for White being better. But generally speaking, yeah, I think Black hasn't really left the margins of equality just yet. You still always prefer white here because it's a lot easier, I think, for white to find constructive things to do.
Yeah.
And I think sort of the way this game is going, Vishy did not come today with the intention of just kind of randomly making 30 moves and offering a draw. I think he believes he might be somewhat better here, and he will push. That is not to say he will win, but he will actually push and might actually get somewhere.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to imply that he
No.
plays for a draw. This is how you play for a win against the Petrov. I'm just saying Black is so solid that until something drastic happens, I will.
Yeah, that wasn't an argument
in
against you. It's just people were asking why didn't he switch from 1e4, yeah, today I think it's quite clear that he came aiming for a very specific type structure and had some ideas on how to deal with that structure. And I think this is sort of about as much as you can get against this line that Yuengi plays all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 games already drawn, and there's also the Grishuk-Caruana game where, with rooks off, in particular if Black is in time to play h6, h5, this is a reasonably well-known theoretical draw. Nobody really gets very far.
I mean, with queens off? Or?
Yeah, with queens off. Yeah, I said rooks. Yeah, but queens are still on, and also the pawn is not on h5. Actually, a question to you: if obviously one pair of rooks is coming off now. If you trade that one pair of rooks and you take the queens off, but white plays h4, h5, how easy of a draw is that?
Depends who's playing. I think at this level, a guy like Fabi is still a favorite to make a draw, but I've never found it very straightforward. I've tried to study that endgame, and white does have pressure, and I don't know any statistics. I would guess he wins those around like 30% of the time amongst grandmasters, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean,
So,
sort of compared to like
It's a winning
5,
chance. Yeah.
compared to like 5 if Black gets h6,
No,
h5,
yeah, it's
and
no
yeah,
discussion.
yeah. So I think Sasha will still be interested because it seems like, let's say, after rook b1, queen b1, king h2, it's extremely likely that Black is... Although there's queen b2 is quite awkward, yeah, I guess. What I was going to say is that it seems like he gets h4, h5 next move. And then, yeah, that... Like, you might actually be able to do that, but nobody plays like this. Takes queen b1, king e2. It might actually be fine, but we're not computers. But just for argument's sake, let's say we take on b1, queen b1, king h2, and Black makes a move like queen b7. And we play h5. We can actually start speculating with the queen trade, right? We no longer have to avoid the queen trade at all costs. And in fact, we can start sort of looking our opponent in the eye and saying, would you like to change queens here, punk?
Wow.
Well, do you?
Those are fighting words.
Yeah. And that becomes a slightly different game then. Because normally, of course, Black's most obvious line of defense is just asking for a queen trade at every turn and kind of forcing white to move to unfortunate squares to avoid it.
By the way, this is sort of an easier draw, right? At least that's what
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
told.
you're not supposed to allow this. This is actually, yeah.
Might depend on circumstances, but
course,
generally
yeah.
these doubled pawns are excellent defenders because they can just take whatever tries to cross the
Yeah.
rank.
When you're told this for the first time, it seems slightly counterproductive, but it's an important thing to know that Jan just brought up. And yeah, I think we don't take on f6 here. Obviously, if white immediately wins one of those pawns, it's different. But if he doesn't, you are not supposed to allow that structure. Sasha is 20 minutes ahead on the clock. Double exclamation mark, says Lion Ping. Yeah, that comes from actually playing this opening with both colors and actually preparing, I guess, this particular line for today, which means that he was still repeating stuff and Fabi was figuring stuff out, probably from somewhere around here.
Yeah, Fabi, burning an hour here. If you don't make a move, it's hard for Grishuk to get into time trouble.
Yep.
Alright, so Grishuk, yeah, normally should not win, but this will not be over very soon. He will.
No, he will
Continue asking
He will
questions.
continue asking questions, and they still have a ton of time. So we're not going to reach the eternal time travel for a while yet.
Magnus is making the point, this rook on g7 is actually not so bad, it can enter the game. So,
Yeah,
if you want to exchange bishops, knock yourself out.
and also asking black if he wants to undouble the b pawns, because then white will probably have additional play connected with the c3, c4 push.
Yeah. If we play your move, rook a7 again.
Yeah, I would start with rook a7 here. If we want to take on c3, I think Magnus's previous play kind of suggests we can always take on c3, so no real reason for us to do it just yet.
How can white improve? Whatever, rook somewhere, still
Yeah,
rook
rook
c7.
c1, rook c7. Yeah, I don't see what this does. Actually, I'm slightly surprised Magnus didn't even ask the question with h2, h3. It felt to me that out of all the positions we've seen, the ones with the bishop, the light squared bishop for black still on the board, and the knight eventually landing on somewhere like d4, I thought those were slightly more promising in terms of winning chances. This feels like it should be fine for white, but also like the eventual outcome I expect is that you win back your pawn, and to do that you have to trade more or less everything, and then black holds without really blinking an eye. I could be wrong, but that's to my eyes the most likely outcome here. Rook a7 played in the meantime by Dingliren.
Nope. The rook is untouchable. Yeah. I don't know. This line still made some sense to me. I'm not sure rook c2, but putting some rook on the c file and then, you know, just preparing for whatever comes next.
Yeah, but the thing is, the pawn on a6, as long as black is kind of fine just keeping the knight on b8 and saying, I don't really see how you'll make any progress, the one you can win is the pawn on c6, maybe. And then everything just gets traded off. Like I play f5 here. Oh, maybe, yeah, I think I play f5. Yeah. Takes, king d7 even. I mean, it looks extremely ugly, but...
Not sure how I recapture, but maybe still pawn. But no, Magnus does take on g7, after all.
Yeah.
Who's better? Like, if you had to pick a side, which side would you actually
Like, I'm not allowed to say it's equal.
You're allowed to say it's equal, but you can play this position with either black or white. Which one would you prefer?
Black?
Because I had that feeling too, and I was wondering if that was insane.
Although, like, I think this actually being just equal, I think, is a huge favorite in my mind. But
obviously, but if you have to pick a side, you might pick the pawn, no? Because it's not obvious like how white can force a draw even. Not saying yes to it, it's probably equal positionally. I don't know, maybe it doesn't care, it just played h4 or whatever.
Rook g7, rook maybe h1, rook c7, rook c... Yeah, but we get to this sort of a similar type position anyway. And in particular, let's say if black, now that Magnus took on g7 immediately, and there is no... I actually quite like your rook a3 move. I thought that was very clever. Because I thought, like, compared to this, I thought that was winning a tempo.
Yeah.
So, comparing...
Here or
no,
rook
you
c1?
played rook h1.
Yeah,
rook c1, rook c7, rook a3. I thought that was very smart. Because here I suspect I might be forced to take on c3 and kind of double your rooks for you. Whereas compared to the game, now that he's taken on g7, if we try to do the same.
The Armageddon is starting.
Okay, yeah,
so let's
go there.
Rid of this. There are still some issues
there we
trying
go.
to work through here, but there we are. I can't
Yeah.
promise there will be much movement, but we have the guys. We will take our rightful seats and have a look. Another English is being discussed. This is the good old Magnus line, e4 castles. Most people have been taking on c3 here in the past.
Yeah, I'm curious he hasn't actually. I think castles knight g2 gives white a lot more scope for kind of free-flowing play.
Yeah, knight c6. This is an approach that, is also common, but black loses a lot of time, especially if you compare it to this line that you had against Magnus, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, e5. You are black, and then you move the bishop from b4 to c5. So yeah, you're sort of playing two tempi down. And white is this typical plan. I'm somewhat surprised that Levon does not spend the tempo on h3.
Yeah, I'm more than a little surprised h3 hasn't happened here, because I think the fact that Wesley instantly played bishop g4 takes e2 in reply to d3 is very telling. I think you're not supposed to allow that. At least that was my understanding when I was, I wouldn't say analyzing, but kind of thinking about these positions. But anyway, this is now in the past, and what they have on the board is still a very double-edged position.
Yeah. So yeah, to play h3 is more common. He's played d3, bishop g4, king h1. This is Levon's favorite move in all situations, but here obviously preparing f4. Takes, queen takes. I'm also curious about that, but okay. Knight d4, queen d1, c6, f4, h6. Yeah, still take white, I guess, but
it's a lot less clear now. And yeah, they played knight a4. He played in that position, bishop b4, a5, bishop b3, b5, cb, cb, knight c3, bishop b6. I think black actually is reasonably comfortable here. You can take on d4 and b5. No, yeah, you can take on d4 and b5 here. Because ed4, obviously, we will not be taking on b5, but ed4 is, I think, a reasonably large concession. I think black takes with the bishop. But after knight b5 there's a number of things black can do, which I think is just completely fine.
yeah.
Yeah, he decides.
I like this bishop b4, b5 business, Wesley. Found some ways to get play for
rook c1 played by Lev. You can spend a tempo playing something like a6, but I'm not sure if you're obliged to. I'm not sure just how much of a threat bishop takes b4 is here. But he does play a6, because I think in general in a blitz game, and this is a blitz game, it pays to just eliminate things that distract you. Bishop h3, rook e8. Yeah, the knight on d4 is a monster. White obviously has some trumps, but that knight kind of controls so many important squares. Feg, queen f3 would be maybe an interesting idea to do here, but impossible. Yeah, knight f3, exactly.
Bishop h3 sort of indicates he doesn't want to go for the f5, g4, maybe h4 plan in the future. But then, what active options are there? He goes g4, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I'd be tempted to take before g5 comes.
There's also knight e6. But this you need to calculate, because white probably takes on b6 and goes g5. Yeah, this actually already happened. They have this on the board.
Oh, wow.
Fg, bishop takes e6. This might be very bad for black, actually.
I'm surprised Wesley allowed this here.
Yeah, Fg... I mean, maybe you have to go hg, bishop e6, gf and play that position, but bishop goes back to a2 and I think you eventually lose.
Yeah, he's played fe.
But here I think you get mated after fg, no? You just get mated.
Yeah, he's bungled this. Knight h7, maybe g6
g6
directly.
probably, what, queen h5?
Queen h5 would
yeah.
good too.
No, I think you just completely get mated here. That was a really strange sequence, because, I mean, knight e6 does occur to you, but then you spot bishop b6 and g5, and you kind of say to yourself, yeah, this is unplayable. Very surprised that Wesley didn't stop himself in time.
My man Wesley letting me down. I think everybody's letting me down today. Magnus is not going to win the classical. Wesley, it looks like he's losing the Armageddon.
Yeah,
Things not going well.
This will be one in my column if Lev wins this.
Well aware. Yeah, this looks over. No knife played.
Look, I mean, queen h5 is probably simplest, even though g6 might be good enough. But I mean, like, why would you need to calculate?
Well, no, g6 next move.
Yeah. No, you play queen b7 here. And then I think what wins is g6, rook f6, and g7. That's probably the simplest. Yeah, I actually...
I am staring at this because it's showy.
Yeah. Then there's queen f2 or queen f4 or something, and the king runs.
It's maybe not matey, even though it's
Probably wins
probably
as well.
good too, but
actually,
yeah, no need.
Yeah, I think the line I gave is very convincing actually, because g7 we just threatened to play rook g1. The only move to stop that would be rook e7, and then I go queen h8, queen h7. You have to play rook g8. I go rook g1, and there's no stopping queen g6 mate. I'm pretty sure this is a clean calculation.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, Lev is just double checking. He doesn't want to mess this up. He also has 4 minutes on the clock, so absolutely no reason for him to hurry here. There's also queen h5, queen e3. This is why the move hasn't been played yet. g6, knight f6, rook f6, queen c1. And then there's queen h6 in the end. Yeah, thank you very much for everybody who was shouting at us in chat, because I kept on missing this move.
Okay.
Okay, so how do we deal with this?
Not over yet. Go Wesley. Go Wesley. Go Wesley.
Yeah, this is actually very relevant, because if queen h5 doesn't win, then maybe the whole position is nowhere near as bad.
Let's look at g6 again. Knight f6.
Yeah.
If takes
Rook
e7
e7 or a7, I don't know which one it is. Probably e7.
h5, rook e7. Yeah, this doesn't seem very promising even.
Yeah, the knight is just too far away. You need more pieces to be attacking here. Yeah, he played queen g4, which is also an indication that the forced things weren't winning. But queen e3 even here, I suspect he just wants to play h4, and then slowly drive the... Yeah, and that's what he already played.
This is much more double-edged now, no? Rook
Yeah,
f8 or
I mean, you
whatever.
do give the e6 pawn with check, but then pieces start coming out. And d3 is always hanging. It's not important now, but it might become important later. Yeah, this is no longer any kind of a foregone conclusion at all. I still feel Wesley should not have allowed this, but he's still very much alive and kicking here.
What's the clock? Wesley is even ahead on the clock because we have a long think there.
Yeah, Lev and rook f8 played. I think it's a good decision by Wesley, starting some counterplay, and the pawn on e6 might be important, but active pieces are probably more important, and also you want to stop Lev from having easy choices. Are we playing? Sounds. Are we playing g6 here is what I wanted to ask, but I can't calculate it to any kind of a satisfactory conclusion.
Wow, Wesley went up. That's a power move. It's back. g6. This would be my first instinct. Will you checkmate me here?
Yeah, g6 played, but I don't. Yeah, I can't find anything that wins in this position. Maybe rook, but like queen g3 even. I wanted to go rook c1 here, but queen g3 appears to be very annoying.
Counterplay.
So what are we missing after knight f6?
Probably nothing. Also, what's Wesley thinking about? Exchanging rooks first. He's going for this. Wow.
This is very strange to me. He took and went knight f8, but...
So passive.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have, I think, a very, very definitive reason for not going for the previous line. h5, h6 is... no, we probably don't want to blunder the rook, right?
h5, queen d3. I like it. He's playing greedy chess. Defending the pawn on e6 and then grabbing the d3 pawn. It felt a bit not on the spirit. Now you're allowing
I don't like this at all, but... well, I mean, the rook is hanging, that's what I did, and we need to spend a tempo on something like king g2 here, or rook f3, or whatever, and then black... yeah, king g2
looks good, no?
King g2 is what Lev ends up with. h6 might be a threat, quite easily, actually.
This knight is so passive.
Yeah. I'm very surprised Wesley decided not to get involved with that forced variation after knight f6 and king h8, unless we're missing something simple. Queen e3, I think he went queen g2, rook f2, queen e3, which is slightly weird because I would have played queen e3 immediately if I wanted to play queen e3. How does white improve here? We've sort of achieved...
The knight does not have any obvious go-to squares. Like g5 would be nice, but that's sort of hard to reach.
Yeah, maybe knight... There is a slight point to knight g1, because if knight... Yeah, he plays knight g1. If queen h6, queen f3 might be quite strong, actually, creating a very unpleasant threat of queen f7, queen f8. Might not be that easy to stop, so maybe just not allowing queen f3 is better, like queen d3 or... he played queen c1. Interesting, because queen f3 is a move now.
Queen f3, queen f4?
Yeah, but then... no, we're not better. Knight g7, knight f6, yeah. I thought we might be better even in an endgame. But we're not. Queen h4 now? Rook e8, I guess, yeah.
You want queen e7?
Yeah, I thought queen h4 created a very strong threat, but... he plays queen f3. Black can even start with queen g5 check. I don't know if we need to force the king to different squares.
Queen h4 I can take on d1, by the way, no? Queen f3 played.
Ah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Brain dead. So let's look at this endgame, because I think queen f4 kind of more or less forces the endgame.
I thought it was fine, maybe you gave a check first, but...
Yeah, he starts with a check, but I think king h3 is a perfectly normal move to play here. I don't dislike it at all. I think white should not be avoiding this.
Wow, Wesley's really going all team passive, saying, I have a pawn, what you want?
Yeah.
Not giving it back with queen f4.
Knight e3 g4 is what I want.
Yeah, I'm
But then
not
he goes-
really on board.
But then he goes knight d7, rook f8, I guess. Left played a somewhat weird looking move, king e2, which I'm not sure what I think about this.
Can we go knight d7 now?
Yeah, I think we can and we should.
If rook f8 takes knight f6, we're safe, no?
Mm-hmm. And actually Wesley is keeping the scoreboard very much under control.
Also
Sorry,
the clock.
The clock, yeah, the scoreboard. Cricket World Cup is messing with me.
Tell me about it.
Cricket World Cup is messing with me.
You see that Viral Kohli? Completely outplaying my man Steve Smith. Are those players?
And those teams even played each other, yeah, so...
You think I don't know that India won by 36 runs against Australia, 5-time World Cup champion?
I actually don't think that. I by this point have grown accustomed to you ambushing me with your well of infinite knowledge.
Especially about cricket. But we have an Armageddon game.
What is happening?
B4? Why?
Yeah, well, I mean...
B4, A4? What is this? This is all very meta.
Yeah, this is... like, why are you not playing knight d7 here? What are you afraid of? h6 maybe? But knight f6 seems fine. Rook f8 seems fine. Yeah, eventually he does go knight d7.
He does go queen f7. Yeah.
And the knight doesn't go to... Ah, okay, knight f6, h6.
Knight f6, h6.
Yeah, okay, I'm not completely insane.
Maybe Wesley is very deep and he just thought I have to stop knight c3 by throwing this b4. They even were wrecked with a4. And now?
But yeah, knight takes a4, knight g4 might be mate, so he goes b3 instead. Is knight g4 mate anyway?
It's sort of unpleasant to have your king locked up. Knight g4, rook f4, you give a check.
Maybe you can go knight e4, knight g3, knight f5 there. But yeah, it's very scary now for black, I think. And he does go for this knight g3, knight f5 line.
I get checkmate. Both players very low on time now. Levon down to 22 seconds. This is move 43. So he does not get increment for another 17 moves.
Yeah,
so you better make moves or checkmate.
Yeah, he went hg, knight h6 and rook a7. Rook a7 is slightly mysterious to me, but I guess it doesn't
Can't
really...
move a thing, only the pawns.
Yeah, black is completely tied up and he will start losing pawns. Oh, he blundered mate in one?
Wow, he allowed rook h7 checkmate. Wesley, how could you? That is a bit shocking.
That is very, very shocking, and also
Whoa.
one in my column.
Yeah.
Existentialist says, wells are by definition finite. Pedant alert, yeah, you're probably correct. And we We do appreciate proper pedantry on this show.
That's for sure. Levon, yeah, won a nice fighting game there. I still have no clue what was going on, but he kept finding resources, even without the queens. Building an attack. And knight f5 does not feel ideal. Even this position might still be fine. You're tied up. But
Yeah,
do you
just
lose?
start pushing, yeah, d5 or e4. You will start losing those pawns, but once the knight vacates the h6 square, you can actually start coming out of the corner.
Yeah, once the rook takes, then you can also
Yeah.
go knight f5.
Yeah, I think d6, d5 is the move you start with here, and you ask the question, yeah. Yeah, just immediately go knight f5. Probably should be a draw, yeah.
Blundergeddon, says Chuck. Could not agree more. We will have the quiz time coming up very, very soon. Before we get there, one very quick look at our boy. That's your boy. That's Grishi.
Yeah. What's happening in my boy's game?
He's gone. Let's have a look at the Magnus position, where earlier I read that Ding was now better, which at least proves that we're not insane thinking his position was.
Yeah, that's actually,
at least
I
easier
like
to
this a
play.
lot. Yeah, the idea of bringing the king over to b6 and then the knight will get unpinned. Yeah, I'm not sure what if I like hg6, fg6 though. I thought just taking with the h pawn and playing f5 was more natural, because now white at least has, you know, some hopes of creating something in the center. But yeah, those are probably not very realistic.
He has a passed pawn. I guess you go f4 somewhere and push, but black has plenty trumps of his own. Apologies.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Magnus continues with us, you know, this, I don't know how true this narrative is, but somewhat struggling.
Sure, yeah. Never
to-
beat him. Barely escaped in some games.
Yeah, to even put any significant pressure on Ding, even with the white pieces. So, yeah. Now with the king on c8, I think black should objectively be quite significantly better, right? King comes to b6, knight comes out, you start pushing for c5, you start creating passers on the queen side. There's also an outside passer on the h file, eventually, maybe. Yeah, but people are saying fg6 was a mistake, probably looking at the computer screen. It did feel to me like you're giving white a bit too much. Not keeping any pawns on the central verticals.
All right. How is Mr. Grishuk doing?
Still thinking in the same position. Yeah, this is...
That's our Grishuk.
Yeah, this is Sasha we know and love. Exactly. Just tanking in a completely random position.
He says 51 minutes. Might as well use them.
Yeah. No, I think I can sort of explain why he's thinking, because as we pointed out, it's very, very important for him to land the pawn on h5, if at all possible. But taking on b1 and king h2 allows queen b2, and it's kind of awkward. You have to start making uncomfortable moves there. And I suspect he is actually calculating h5, rook f1, king f1, and trying to figure out if he can afford to get his king over to g4 or wherever it will be. And then if his king will still be safe there. So it's not a completely random position to just arbitrarily tank for 35 minutes or whatever it was that he's already spent here.
It's not like he needs a reason, though.
Yeah, that is also true.
There's some discussion about the frame rate of the cameras on the chat. We are very aware of that. We thought we had it sort of improved for yesterday, and then tried further improvements for today, which seem to have backfired. But people are working on that in the meantime on the official site, in the show, with Judith Polgar and Anna Rudolph. I think the cameras are fine, the interviews are fine, the analysis is fine, the banter is fine. So check that out while we continue to getting Grishuk to move. Move, Grishi. Like both on cam and on the board.
Lodgy says, have you tried turning it off and turning it on again? Somewhat
That has been tried.
Yeah, somewhat stunningly, we have actually tried that midway through the show. So, you are not wrong, but it did not appear to have the desired effect.
I did watch the IT crowd, in spite of the horrible English accents, so references are always welcome.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, can you show me how they got there in the Vichy game? Why is there a CD5 on the board? Well, okay, now I understand. Okay, because normally, of course, black would very much like to reply to c takes d5 by knight takes d5 and not have this pawn on d5, which might be very weak in the future. But Yuengi played king g2, rook e6 on move 24. And if we can just briefly have a look at that. And now after cd5, Yuengi finds himself in a situation where knight takes d5 loses a pawn to knight takes d5 and knight takes f6. So cd has been played. Maybe we can...
What do you want? Sorry, I was...
cd5, knight d5. Yeah, cd5, knight d5, knight d5, rook e2, knight takes f6, wins a pawn, which is why Vichy used that precise moment to take on d5 and force black to recapture with the pawn, which I think is very much to his advantage, because
yeah, you restrict all the options, black.
No, but it's also a weakness actually with this material balance. If white, for instance, somehow manages to bring the second knight over to some square like f4 or c3, the pawn on d5 will be under severe pressure. I actually start thinking that Yuengi might be in genuine trouble right now. Just don't like his position anymore.
Is this a vintage Vichy situation? Calmly putting pressure. Really, he's not taking any risks with the white pieces, but he still wins a lot of these quiet, a lot is maybe strong, quiet Italian Petrov games. You start wondering if this is all part of the master plan. Alright, so Vichy in with a shot, and he clearly marked this game on his calendar. White against lowest rated participant. I shall press.
Yeah, and people want to talk for a couple more minutes about the conclusion to the Wesley game. I don't know what more is there to say. I mean, we can go through it move by move, but mainly Lev continued creating issues, and Wesley was actually doing a lot of very smart things there. The b4 a4 inclusion, which had us kind of jumping up and down and saying what.
I'm still confused. Why not ab4, by the way?
Yeah, ab4 is yeah, I guess rook b8 maybe. And if you're distracted having to move the queen away from the f file, I will then start jumping with, I don't know, queen g5 might become an idea. Although, like, yeah, I think this is probably the point. So Wesley has been doing quite well, but also Lev found this idea of knight f2 and basically knight g4 and h6 against most moves. And I have a feeling knight g3, knight f5 might be the only way to play here.
Let me cheat a bit. This is a position where an engine will yell out some stuff. And yeah, hg, knight g7. I'm mainly curious what the evaluation of this is. The computer says white is actually close to winning.
Yeah, that's quite striking. Even after something like d5, it just dislikes the position horribly.
It just takes, and if the knight jumps...
you can go back to a7.
Ah, that's the point. Wow.
Yeah, this is very smart.
Knight
this is
h6,
very smart.
g7, and now with the a pawn you win this.
Yeah,
so you can't really break free.
Yeah, we were slightly blinded by the fact that black has a large number of extra pawns in the current position, but the machine says it doesn't really matter if you continue getting mated on the king side, so...
But you can also see that Wesley probably grew up studying openings, end games, all that stuff. Because if he had grown up on the mean streets of Hamburg suburbs, like myself, he would have seen that Levon is down to 13 seconds and just very quickly randomly move pawns. Because 13 seconds for 20 moves or whatever it was is very, very hard to do. Especially if you have to keep making sensible moves. So yeah, to get checkmated in one is really sort of a relief for the player that has 13 seconds to make move 60.
Yeah.
Levon, however, I think has spent a fair amount of time playing 1 minute blitz games, giving odds 1 versus 5 and so on. So he can become incredibly fast, and he's not above, like, yeah, getting into a clock punching duel, which got so much criticism on the first day when he did it against Grishuk, even though I always enjoy it. Once the pieces start flying, of course, it's a bit unfortunate. And I believe most guys are fairly aware of not trying to use both hands and, doing that stuff. But then I think it's a great show, so I'm not against it, but I'm aware people might feel differently.
And returning to the Vichy position, Europameister says, isn't d4 as weak as d5? Well, I mean, if you play knight e6, bishop b6, and also move some of white's pieces to much inferior squares, then yes. But the way the pieces are positioned, the pressure against d5 exists already, and the pressure against d4 will be very difficult to create. So technically, maybe yes, but I think one way to explain it would be if black puts pressure on the d4 pawn, every single white piece can actually participate in the defense of that pawn. Whereas black has a bishop on d8, which will in no way contribute to protecting the pawn if white actually manages to attack it with every single piece. So
mainly the pieces are idiots. If we can beam the bishop to b6 even, things might be different.
Yeah. But also, what I'm saying, it sounds slightly simplistic and stupid, but I think it's a reasonable way to look at things, because it's not that easy for white to sort of create this all-out pressure on the d5 pawn, but it has been known to happen. I think the most immediate plan white has still involves putting the h pawn up to h5, because that creates it just makes black's life completely miserable. It's very difficult to find squares for pieces and things.
Okay, people are waiting for the quiz, I think, to have everything fair and square. We will do it exactly 19:30, which is in 6 minutes. So if you want to get a coffee or an ice cream, or I don't know what else you could want to do. That's my life. My daughter wants an ice cream. I want a coffee.
You want a
What
coffee?
else? No, I'm just saying in general, those are the topics around my house. What else is there to do?
Well, not very much, and also you wanting a coffee would give me an excuse to get up.
You can get up anytime you want, but you can never leave.
That's sort of the drawback, yeah.
Yeah, I badly want a coffee. Rook e8 played by Yu Yang-yi. And Ding keeps, I was gonna say chipping away, but after we were told FG was a mistake, and now that Magnus has the passer in the center, I would guess a draw is still the most likely outcome, which would give us the delight of yet another Armageddon on this very day. But yeah, Ding keeps being difficult opponent for Magnus, who sort of like Dracula in this movie Van Helsing, just teleported himself there onto his seat. There was some superhuman stuff. Magnus plays f3, which I was a bit wary of doing, because I thought it would be nice if this bishop had access to this diagonal, but he thinks it's more important to keep it in the center of the board, staring down these pawns, stopping h5, and after g5 it would gain access to a new square on f5. Probably. He's not all too concerned about losing this game. And German Chess Boy is saying Carlsen Ding is about minus 0.7 according to Stockfish. That sounds a bit high to me. I would have guessed it's more like minus 0.20, 30. Because it feels like white should really not lose this and has close to full compensation for the pawn. But I shall not argue with Mr. Stocky. I'm reading in the chat that many people are answering the Eagles to the quiz question. That's wrong, but one of my big documentary recommendations is watch the history of the Eagles, even if you're not an Eagles or a music fan, which frankly I wasn't before watching it. But the infighting, the drugs, the parties, the intrigue, such a good documentary. Warmly recommended. Rook e6 played by Ding. Just overprotecting the pawn on c6. And if he ever gets the knight into play, king b7, knight knight d7, knight f6 or knight b6, things could get a little dicey for Magnus. So Magnus better do something active here now. And what could that something be? Frankly not sure. Maybe doubling on the d file. Rook a3, let's say, to go here. I don't know. Maybe 0-17 is fine. Kapor Lorty is asking, what is the quiz question? It will be published and hopefully answered in 2 minutes. 19:30. Now it's 19:28. That gives us time to scroll all the way down to Mr. Grishuk. But to no one's surprise, he has not yet made a move in his current position. Let's check how long he's been weighing his options there. He's spent 40 minutes and 46 seconds on this position on the board, which I'm sure there are many subtleties, Peter's talked about them, but still, at some point, you just take on b1 and go king h2, no? Like, you don't really need 40 minutes for that. Come on, Grishuk. And just, as I say this, he is saying, no, 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 my time was not spent in vain. Because after 41 minutes, I came up with the move g2 to g4, which is way over my head. And I don't think it's a good move, frankly. But it's very interesting. I wonder what his motivation was. We all know that in rook endings, you want to grab that space, go g4, stop black from ever going h5. But that wasn't really high on his list of worries here. And after g4, it does weaken white's own king. We can no longer think about rook d3, rook g3, attacking this g7 pawn. Well, yeah, I find it hard to believe these pawns, with all these heavy pieces on the board, can do much damage. So, not a fan. Rook b5, let's say. Also, it happens very often. I'm not sure if to Grishuk, but to me, for sure. If you spend that much time on a move, like 41 minutes, you sort of feel silly for doing what you would have done in every blitz game to take in king h2. And you feel like you have to justify that by making a very special push. I'm sure his reasons are way deeper than that. But that's the explanation I can't think of. Alright, it's quiz time. Are you guys ready? Get your calculators out, your iPads, your Android devices, your cell phones. Because here comes the question. Which Norway Chess 2019 player or players have never won their national individual championship? The lucky winner gets a 3-month extension. I think this is hard to know, and I think it's a hard question. So you can either guess or Google quite a bit. Go ahead. We'll ask Peter. Maybe Peter knows.
What?
The quiz question du jour.
Shoot.
And answers are coming in. I think I already saw a correct answer, which is impressive. So the quiz question of the day was, Peter, which of our participants has never won their national championship? Topic you, as the 8-time Russian champion, should know something about. We gave some hints with our quiz question the other day, where we pointed out that both Wesley So and Fabian Caruana were national champions of the USA, and that Magnus Carlsen won the Norwegian championship. So you can rule all of these guys out.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Sasha never actually won the Russian.
He did.
But yeah, hang on, that's wrong, yeah.
He won once, I believe the year was 2006. I could be wrong about the year, but he did win it once.
Yeah. That would be extremely counterintuitive, because...
he won exactly once, actually.
So we can exclude Magnus because that was discussed on air. We can exclude both Fabian and Wesley.
Yep.
Lev will probably be a good guess because he left before he became extremely strong and then probably never played.
One-time winner of the Armenian Individual Championship, Levan Aronian.
Christ, none of my guesses are correct today. Next I was going to name Shah.
Also the question is player or players, so it could be multiple.
I understand, yeah, I'm kind of going in my list of people I consider to be...
Shah is correct. He never won the Azeri Championship, which I guess is mainly for not participating a whole lot.
Yeah, obviously.
That is correct.
Obviously for those reasons. And...
By the way, we have a correct answer, so you guys can stop guessing in the chat.
yeah, and either one or both of the Chinese players, but I'm guessing it's Ding.
No, they both won.
Oh, okay.
What about Vichy?
Ha! This didn't even occur to me because I would have assumed he played a tournament like in the late 80s, early 90s or whichever. And then he would have been by far the best player in the field and would have won.
It's correct. He hasn't won, I think, since 1988. Correct me, you can look it up. But he won a bunch of them in the 80s.
Yeah, that would have been my assumption. So...
The correct answer is only Shah Mamedyarov. Everybody else won their national championship.
Yeah, the French. The one thing I know about the French championship is that Etienne won it 8 times, and me with not participating in the Russian, I am now a lot less likely than.
Maxime, I guess, hasn't played that many, but he won. I was just looking up in 2007, 2011. So yeah.
Yeah, Maxime.
Only Shah.
Maxime won a couple, and yeah, Vichy I would bet very heavily on having won a few a long time ago. But yeah, I would have thought that maybe one of the Chinese hasn't played enough of them.
He won exactly one, and I'm not sure about Ding. I think he might have won more than one, because when he was 16, his game started coming out where he was sacrificing all these exchanges in Chinese championships, and I think eventually winning. So I believe Ding might be multiple Chinese champion. He won once.
Joe Breaker says, Peter not playing in the super final this year. Yeah, probably not. You've heard it here first, folks. It's not breaking news by any stretch, but...
Why?
The schedule is just way too insane as it is right now, and I could actually play that as well. I think dates sort of work, but my general feeling was I could include that into the already busy schedule and kind of die, or I could skip it and hope to leave, and I decided that choosing life in this particular case was justified.
Wow. Another life-affirming choice.
Yes, very much so. People are saying Magnussen is in tremendous trouble now, and yeah, it does look like, on the one hand, taking with the f-pawn of 24 by Ding created now this counterplay that Magnus is trying to use, let's say rook h6, rook h1. But on the other hand, Black just goes rook e6, e7 in that position, and then let's say pushes whichever, c5, a5. And the knight finally breaks free via one of those squares, let's say a6. And the pawn on h7, you double the rooks, and Black doubles on the 7th, and that's sort of the extent of it. You're not really putting any more pressure on the pawn on h7. And then Black starts making progress on the queen side. So yeah, it feels like Ding might be sort of significantly better now.
There are questions about our exploits in the national championship. As mentioned, Peter, I think, is the record Russian champion with 8 titles. I have shamefully never won a German championship, which, yeah, I'm a bit annoyed by, but what can you do? I think, yeah, well, no one wants to hear about my runner-up finishes.
I do.
Yeah, shared first with Henke once, but he had the better tiebreak. One year I played well. Had like good performance, but Archie Yusupov was crushing everything. I think he scored like 7.5 and I've scored 7. So I came close a couple of times, but no, never won it, unfortunately. And I haven't played for many years.
Yeah, well, I think you just basically stopped playing in them quite a while ago, yeah. So.
Still. I did win the NATO Chess Championship, yeah, thank you. That was one of my biggest victories. Two-time Bangkok Chess Club. Okay, I'll stop. Is Vichy making any progress?
Well, sort of, unless Queen A7 is surprisingly strong, which it actually is not that stupid. Can we have a look at this for a second? Can I play Queen A7 here? On Knight B5, sorry, yeah, I am stupid. Okay. Ignore anything I said, yeah. Maybe we start with A4 then. Because I'm kind of attached to this idea of playing Queen A7 here. But yeah, Rook E6, C6 is, I mean, Jan's very helpful arrows are indicating that my I mean, he does play A4, so I'm not, that wasn't entirely wrong on my part, but I guess Rook A6, Rook E6, Rook C6 is fast enough.
He wants Queen A7 now, maybe, no?
Yeah, Rook C6. Ah, no, but we can take and go Queen B8, yeah, if you take with the Queen.
Yeah, BC looks a bit awkward structurally.
Yeah, you can take with the Queen and go Knight E6, but that becomes, I mean, that might actually collapse somehow, yeah? Knight E6 and...
It doesn't, who knows?
Yeah, like if I can exert a little bit more pressure somehow, this could be good, but I don't see how actually. Maybe it's just fine. Knight F5, but you have to have a way to deal with it.
Queen C7, Knight
Yeah,
E7.
Queen C7 in particular.
Sorry, Knight E7.
Yeah.
Meant takes, but
I
it
also
doesn't
had
make any
this.
sense.
I also had this brain fart, but I don't think it works. Yeah, we can take go Knight D6, force you to play B6, but the Knight on F3 is just too far away from good squares. It doesn't feel like it's good enough. So what else do we have after Rook E6? Do we have anything at all?
I guess not. It's usually how these Petrovs go. You put some pressure.
Yeah,
Make a draw.
yeah. It's not entirely surprising if Black just holds here. Ding makes an interesting choice, by the way. He decides, though, he will still have to double on the 7th, but he decides to have them on F7 and C7, E7 instead of E7 and C7, to have both of these rooks active. And also this allows you to play Knight D7 later, because it doesn't get in the way of your rooks, yeah? It's just clever. I like this. Actually, Knight D7 next move is kind of impossible to stop.
It's pawn.
Well, you can go Rook D1 here, set a cunning trap, yeah? Rook D1, Knight D7, Bishop F5. Wow. And after Rook E7, your opponent looks at you and says, yeah, I did miss that, but I don't really care. You're still worse, haha.
Yeah, even here you can do that.
Yeah. Although, I mean, maybe this rook endgame offers white the best chances of survival, like E4, King E3, F4, F5, and push.
Makes sense.
But Black is not obviously not forced to allow it. Like Rook D1, King C7 is a perfectly sensible move to make, or Rook C6, C7. But I think not allowing Rook D8 probably is a wise choice.
Is Magnus going down today? This looks like it could end up badly, no? He's clearly decided fighting for a draw now, but it just feels like Ding's position is so much easier to play and to improve, apart from being better.
I think we should very much start thinking about this as a potential upset. And I mean, world number 3 beating world number 1 is not your obvious definition of an upset, but Magnus doesn't lose very many, and with white, probably even fewer.
Yeah. Ding already beat the world number 2 in this tournament as well.
Yeah. People are surprised I have a cunning plan. I have a cunning plan, my lord.
I thought this must be some Hearthstone reference, because Lorinda also found it funny, but I didn't see through it.
No, that's Blackadder.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Should I watch this Blackadder?
Yes.
Okay.
An emphatic yes. If you don't want to spend time watching all 4 seasons, watch season 4. Season 4 is some of the best television ever made.
Is Ron Atkinson doing the faces?
No, I mean, there probably is some faces making, but it's very, very different from Mr. Bean.
Is it a gutting mockumentary of bureaucracy?
No.
What is it about? I honestly don't know.
World War One.
Ah, okay. Who won?
Nobody won really. Well, Definitely not you guys.
At some point I got into studying World War One a bit, because I felt I knew very little. For obvious reasons, we are taught a lot about World War Two and the horrors of what the Nazis did in school, but World War One you really don't learn all that much about. I was mainly shocked by the numbers, just the amount of people dying in these within 3 days in these French things in the trenches. Like it was like 600,000 people, and it was crazy stuff. I forgot most of it, as you can tell by me being vague, but I found it very shocking.
Rook e6 played by Yu Yang-gi, no surprise there. Rook h1, rook e7 in the Magnus position. One thing Magnus can do is to play either bishop...
Here, sir.
Yeah, bishop c2 or bishop b1, I don't know which one is stronger, and probably force the f7 rook to g7. But I don't know how much of an achievement that actually is.
What you want to do?
Bishop c2, b3.
And now what?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe start pushing, but like this is very, very generalized quote-unquote pushing. I don't really understand what we want. Maybe a 4 knight f6 king f3 I can make an argument for, but I feel like I might be sort of like making this pseudo-active moves, which will end up just creating more targets for black to pick up once he disentangles himself. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the an actual quote from King Crusher, but he is not wrong. If Bardamo says c5 runs into bishop takes b7 for ding. That is a very, very factual statement.
You could do it just to mess with Magnus, no? Play c5.
Then you're forced to play king b6, yeah? I think you're supposed to, like, if the move you make...
Is that how it works?
It definitely, I think it was the way they taught us in like really, really junior tournaments when we were kids. I don't know, like somebody who has arbiter experience could probably tell us, but yeah, they used to tell us that if you make an illegal move and the piece you moved has no legal moves, you move the king.
But there was this rule change. I'm not allowed to make c5 in this cunning software. I think it mainly applied to rapid, that if your opponent makes an illegal move, of course you can claim that, and then he has to make another move, maybe move the king or whatever. But c5, by far the strongest move would be rook takes c5 check, no? Or probably rook takes h7 check.
So?
Which, it's a bit silly, no? That you can ignore an illegal move and take something and give a check.
No, but then we have the whole Magnus and Archiev situation, right? And if you after c5 you actually play rook takes h7, your opponent, as we found out, sort of has a claim that you are the side making an illegal move.
No, but I don't think he has. That's my point.
And did they...
I'm not sure about this, but that's how I understood the rule.
Did they amend this, maybe?
We need chess arbiters. Let us know. How is this in classical chess? How is it in rapid and blitz?
Yeah, and Magnus goes rook h2, kind of switching to the full defensive mode. I think the point here being that black needs to, at some point, start getting the knight out from b8. And once he plays, let's say, rook e6 or rook f6 here to prepare knight d7, white goes rook h1 and forces the rook back. But I guess if black wants, he can go rook c7, right? And then rook h1 still stops knight d7, but it doesn't create a threat. And we can reply to rook h1, for instance, with a5. b8, king a5, and then I want to play knight a6, knight c5, and finally my last remaining inactive piece is coming into the game.
Yeah, this looks... Sort of feels like it's time to try to start swapping stuff, pawns especially, but it's not so easy to manufacture.
Not easy with the pawn, with the rooks on e7 and f7. Not going to be easy at all. Dodgy says in classical you just get slapped upside the head and a warning.
That's what I thought. Maybe you can get a 2 minutes penalty, or your opponent can get an extra 2 minutes. But I think that's even only at the second offense. But in Rapid and Blitz, what's the rule? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, you have to wonder. But
this game has been agreed drawn, by the way. We should.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that is kind of relevant. Probably also very recent. So the tie break should start at about 10 minutes past the hour. That's my best approximation. There's a question in French there, which maybe you can...
Ah, pas de problème. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Monet nous dit, bravo pour vos commentaires, merci beaucoup. Est-ce que MVL peut encore gagner le tournoi? Ah, je ne pense pas. Sinon, quand aura lieu le prochain tournoi qualificatif pour le tournoi de Canada? Merci. So he's asking, can MVL still win this tournament? Unlikely at this stage. Things haven't been going very well for him. And Magnus Carlsen has a pretty serious lead in the standings. Then the question is, what's the next chance for MVL to enter the qualification circle? This actually is not a tournament where you can qualify or gain any points.
Yeah.
For qualifying and regarding to the candidates tournament.
Yeah, we should probably point people towards the Twitter page for Martin Benedict, because he has a very nice Excel file where he tracks all these things down, and I think it's very kind of immediately obvious from that. MVL is in GCT, but not in the Grand Prix, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
So I think there is a spot from GCT available, right?
There, no. Why would
no. Yeah, I'm getting confused, because there definitely has been talks at some point. I mean, the idea was floated that maybe GCT could at some point become the part of the official cycle, but hasn't happened yet, might not happen in any kind of near future. So then it's the Grand Prix and the Grand Swiss for him, right?
So basically, there are two spots.
No, I mean World Cup and the Grand Swiss.
In the Grand Prix, and there are two spots in the World Cup. Then there is one spot in the Grand Swiss, which is the giant open tournament. And there is a spot given by rating, but MVL will probably not come close there. Ding is a giant favorite to take the rating spot. Then there is a wildcard spot, but of course you don't want to rely on that. And typically it's chosen by the organizing country, so if it's not in France, I'm aware Aronian got one in Moscow, but there was Armenian money and so on. So typically, if it's not in France, his chances aren't great there. Therefore, his best shot is the World Cup, where there's two spots, and the Grand Swiss. But of course, the Grand Swiss, everyone has as good a shot as anybody. But he also is participating in the Grand Prix, we're being told. He skipped the first one, but he'll play the last three. He will come to the lovely city of Hamburg, Germany. And therefore, yeah, those are his chances to qualify, which are pretty much everyone's chance to qualify. It's not a given, even for the world's best, like MVL.
Yeah, I feel sort of ashamed. I did not know that for sure. I mean, I knew he didn't play in Moscow, and I kind of assumed that people who are playing the GCT, in large part, are choosing to skip the Grand Prix because they will be bloody tired by the end of 2019, as the famous Fred Truman quote goes. But yeah, MVL playing both, so he can still qualify from the Grand Prix, and he will probably play both the World Cup and the Grand Swiss. Outsider
53 is saying, I thought the wildcard spot was skipped, but it wasn't, right? I keep at least saying this. I do believe there is a wildcard spot. So there are 8 places. One is reserved for Caruana, who won the last World Championship match. One is for the winner of the Grand Swiss. There are 2 from the World Cup. That means we're at 4. There is 2 from the FIDE Grand Prix. That's 6. There's
Plus
1 given for the rating. Then we're at 7, and the last one has to be wildcard, no? I'm not sure who gives it, if it's FIDE or the organizers, but I do believe there is a wildcard in there.
Yep, and that's a very concise description of these things, but as I mentioned, if you track down Martin Benedict's work on the subject, he has a constantly updatable, constantly being updated online, what's the word?
Twitter account.
No. I can't speak. Spreadsheet is the word I'm looking for.
Online spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Google document?
Something like that, yeah. Everything that is relevant to the qualification for the 2020 candidates gets updated more or less instantly there. So it's a very useful source of information. Ding does something which I think deserves attention.
What the F happened here, by the way?
Where? Here.
We are now in front of Yu Yang Yi. We can't block the U view.
97 is just a drawn rook endgame, says Evans Gambit. Why is this drawn? Why are we so sure this is not winning for black?
Why exactly?
Why exactly?
And how do we get rid of this?
Yeah, he's already taken on h7, black takes, goes knight f6. I guess people think rook h4 is just an immediate draw. Maybe it is, yeah. It's a slightly surprising choice by Ding. I don't think he was obliged.
And g5, that's rook h6.
Yeah, I don't think he missed g5, rook h6, but maybe he thinks he still has winning chances here, but it feels unlikely.
But why do this? Keep the pawn.
Yeah.
Continue working on bringing the horsey out or playing a5 or c5, and you have zero risk. You have an extra pawn. That's surprising.
Yeah.
Unless he thinks he has winning chances.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's not doing this to offer a draw, but yeah, as is sort of always the case, the rook ending offers better drawing chances for white than anything that was.
Also, 4 versus 4 offers better drawing chances than 4 versus 5.
Exactly, yeah. Well, even though, I still am not entirely convinced something like c5 or a5 is such an easy, clear-cut draw here for white.
But it feels like white should hold. Now the king is so close to this guy.
Yeah. Rook g4, and then we start giving checks from the side. Yeah.
King, then we go here.
No, we go a5, a4. We kind of wait.
Yeah.
A4. I want to wait until you give this check. If you do give this check, and then I play king b4. But yeah, it just kind of has to be a draw. It's just not enough material left on the board.
And the king can't get cut off from these guys. Well, the black king can't really hustle over to support this. I would say I would probably lose this, but I would still think it has to be a reasonable straightforward draw.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those where I can definitely imagine losing this against a good player who will continue asking proper questions. But I would also feel like I've been exceptionally stupid if I lost it. Not a new feeling for me. The tiebreak is probably starting. No, it's still some way away.
Yeah. By the way, Grishuk spent 42 minutes on the move g2 to g4 in this position.
Mm-hmm. As mentioned.
Your comments?
Well, he is working really hard on making sure black doesn't play h6, h5. And
Fabi took. I was saying now after g4, maybe you keep the rook.
You never really have any counterplay on the king's side when the white controls files in the center. So I think you always remove a pair of rooks here.
Remove a pair.
I realized where I was going with it and regretted my life choices immediately. And every time I say trying really hard in connection with Grishuk, I keep on returning to that story I almost told during round 1, and then people kind of discouraged me by saying, the equivalent of chess in all capitals. But I've been restricting myself containing myself for a week now. I can't do this any longer. On the topic of Sasha just being an extremely funny guy and a very sort of genuinely funny guy who doesn't need to prepare for these things.
Doesn't need props.
Yeah, doesn't need props, doesn't need prep to be the best press conference around. I remember the story. That was during the days when the whole Kosintseva sister drama was in full bloom. And it was the
For people that don't know, the Kosintseva sisters, strong chess players that had some arguments with the Russian Federation, the coach of the national team, Wroblewski. What happened there?
Yeah, just to give like the bare bones background, Kosintsova sisters were absolutely nailed on boards 1 and 2 of the Russian national team. They were the most important players in the team, higher rated than at that point everybody else. And as long as Dokhoyan was the national team coach, they were kind of absolutely not just penciled in, but absolutely nailed on to play. And then Dokhoyan, I think he went to coach the men's team. He got
Demoted.
or promoted, depending on your viewpoint. And the national team got a new coach, Sergei Rublevsky, who coaches them until this day with great success. And the first tournament the team played in this configuration, there were some issues. They did not really see eye to eye on a number of points, mainly I think disciplinary points, because Rublevsky was kind of insisting on certain discipline and was not finding.
What type of discipline? The Kosintsova sisters never struck me as crazy party girls, no?
No, it's not that kind of discipline. But once again, I wasn't there. Everything I say has to be understood to be hearsay. But like stuff like, let's say, not leaving the team meeting until the team meeting is over, which I don't think is unreasonable.
No, but how long are we talking?
What do you mean?
Team meetings.
Well, team meetings can be long.
Wow.
But I don't think you're supposed to, I don't think it's unreasonable to just expect people to stick around until, let's say, the lineup is finalized. And some words were exchanged. The tournament, they actually won quite convincingly, the first one they played in this configuration. And they got their winners' photos and everything, and everybody left for their homes, assuming everything is sort of fine and under control. And yes, there was some unpleasantness, but the tournament was won, and everybody understands that, in the heat of a I think it was the Olympiad as well, the first tournament Grublevsky coached.
Mr. Dodgy, this is what in the comedy business we call setup. Sometimes the setup is longer, but the punchline will be worth it, so stick around. And all right, so they went home? Still?
Yeah, and then they just didn't return. They said, we are not playing unless the federation just sacks Rublevsky on the spot and chooses a new coach. And the federation, they kind of went, what exactly?
Why exactly?
And why exactly? And did not bow down to ultimatums. And the sisters never played for the national team again.
That sounds like my story with the German team. Except I didn't give any ultimatums. I just was never called.
And now we are actually, after 5 minutes later.
Get to the Grishuk joke.
Yeah, bare bones of the story, says Joe Breaker, and you're not wrong. I apologize. Have a drink. But the point was, we were playing, I think it was the Russian teams in Sochi when all of this was going on. And Sasha actually memorized the... Why do I suddenly midway forget the name of the actor?
Which actor? I know actors.
Nick Fury.
Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes. Why does... Yeah, my brain is like, there's no brain there. Sasha actually took about a day to memorize the whole Shepard speech from Pulp Fiction verbatim. Because he suspected he will have to give an interview at some point. And he wanted... to connect this speech to the whole Kosintsova situation. So he went and learned it by rote. And he did give an interview, and he kind of steered the topic to the whole Kosintsova sisters, and then gave the whole Shepard speech perfectly.
Wow, so much for the myth. He doesn't prepare, it's all improv. He spends days memorizing his answers. How dare you, Grisha?
Icon has punchline yet, says Mr. Dodgy. I assume the chat is lagging, and you by now hopefully has your punchline. Yeah, it's been.
So the punchline is he memorized the speech.
I resign.
What happened to the Kuznetsova sisters? Are they still playing? I haven't seen them around for a while.
No, I think they've sort of moved on as far as I know, and I suspect. But I mean, I know at least one is married. Maybe both of them are married by this point and kind of moved on from chess.
That's sort of sad. They were strong, dedicated. Now you have
Yeah.
Skoryechkina, so of course you will forget all about them. But they were like in the high 2500s, like 10 years ago, no?
Yeah, they were very, very strong. I mean, they had. I mean, it wasn't entirely unreasonable for them to assume that their presence in the team might actually outweigh who the head coach is, but turned out that they misjudged the power dynamic a little bit there. But yeah, okay, yeah.
What do you do here? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't agree with this, Colin. I mean, I understand you're being sarcastic there, but yeah, don't agree with this, and do actually think he's a great guy. But anyway, what do I do here? King g2, c somewhere. I kind of like the idea of placing the rook on the g file, so I have e4, e5 counterplay if I ever need it.
So what Atelik says, in reality they got married and split out of chess.
Yeah, that's sort of what we said.
But they are married chess players. I'm saying marriage doesn't have to be career ending necessarily. There must have been some
but I
other
think
factors.
I mean those two factors combined kind of made them move on.
All right. It looks like Magnus will probably. So Doji is saying, I deduce that Peter's best route back into the Russian team is memorize some movie speeches.
Yeah, that probably.
What's your favorite movie speech?
That probably isn't enough though.
Glengarry Glen Ross? Yeah. Who's doing this? The Alec Baldwin character?
No, probably I considering where I am in relation to the Russian national team, I should probably do the Rutger Hauer speech.
Which one is that?
The Tears.
Blade Runner?
Tears in the Rain, yeah.
I can't give my honest opinion on Blade Runner. I got into too much trouble yesterday for my Fifth Element opinions already. Can't do it. Can I give my honest opinion on the Vichy Yu Yang Yi?
Yeah, let's go with this, yeah. Doji says Peter turns up at the Russian Federation and goes full love actually. Yeah, that will be a sight to behold. Me with the cardboard signs professing my love for all things Russian Chess Federation.
I'm not happy with our cameras today. But we have moves.
Yeah, and I can't help but find it extremely amusing that Suat Atalik's attempt to name the writer who inspired the Blade Runner got absolutely destroyed by the bot.
Philip K. Doc?
Yeah, him. Philip K. Richard. I mean, I generally very, very much like these positions for white, which is, I think, completely unjustified. I think black is perfectly fine.
No, I agree.
But...
never allow this. I would never allow this. With black, I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I don't really understand the idea of giving white the trade of the light squared bishop. He went bishop g6 and allowed the trade on the g6 square. But
this bishop is just such a nuisance long term.
Yeah, h4, h5 becomes a topic. Knight e4, queen g4, and place something on g5 later becomes a topic. Yeah, I'd be extremely happy with white in a must-win game because at least now I have very clear-cut ideas on how to improve.
Yeah, c3, queen f3, bishop d2. Well, h4, h5. Ugh. This didn't go well for you.
Yeah, the story hasn't gone well for me either.
Which one?
Well, frankly,
Oh, the Grishuk story.
yeah.
No, actually, I found it interesting because I was always wondering what happened to these Kuzintseva sisters, and I guess outside of the Russian-speaking realm, you don't get very much information about these topics. Or I wasn't aware. I heard there was some infighting, but then, yeah, I guess Sutovsky just won that fight. Yeah, and I'm like, no, sorry, Rublevsky, sorry.
Sutovsky is winning all of his fights now, and
He's doing well too. Yeah,
yeah, that's actually
Rublevsky,
ancient history. Yeah, and I think what Yu is doing here is quite sensible. He's sort of taking the bull by the horns and making some advances on the king side before Vichy can do anything there himself. I think that's the correct procedure.
Yeah. If you allow white to
5
build up, this bishop
Yeah.
on a2 just become too annoying. Still don't like it though.
Yeah, knight g5, bishop g5, bishop b7 would be my kind of go-to reaction here. He doesn't even go bishop b7, he goes bishop c5, continues to kind of hint he will actually play quite actively if allowed. Interesting concept by you.
We're moving in.
Yeah. Bishop plays c3, which is a kind of an all-round useful move. You don't need it for anything just yet, nothing concrete, but it's just a useful move to have. Queen f7 is a bit of a weird choice by Yuengi here. What white would like to do is to, in some order, play queen f3, rook e2, rook e1, but you have to be slightly worried you will allow e5, e4, which is, I think, why Vichy goes queen d2, which will give him more preparation time.
I'd be so worried to blunder some b4, c4, c5
Yeah,
business
which
on
is
this
why,
diagonal.
I guess which is why he goes a4 here.
I was a bit curious if she could just start with b4 actually.
Yeah, queen c2 played, and yeah, even on the previous move I was wondering if black actually is kind of worried enough to start playing f5, f4 with the intention of playing f3 next move in this position. It looks very, very ugly positionally, but it does create, it kind of explains at least some of your pieces. The bishop on c5 becomes very relevant, and the queen on f7 becomes very relevant. So yeah, I don't know, it's a very committal move, and Yuengi instead plays e5, e4, which is a variation on the same theme, but I would guess slightly less forcing.
Also, can't I go d4 and pick up a pawn?
Yeah,
We
you
have that
can.
much play?
Yeah,
you
you
want to go f4, yeah?
Yeah, and then black will sort of go all in on the king side. Yeah, interesting. You can also just wait here, but and this is what I was wondering. If we can just take, and after e takes d3, if we have a strong move, probably queen c4 simply, yeah?
Just attack.
Yeah, I didn't see queen c4, and I wasn't sure, but I think queen c4 is like immediately much better for white. So yeah, I think e4 may have been somewhat misjudged by Yu Yangyi.
Vichy continues going strong in Armageddons because Yu Yangyi is also a silent Armageddon assassin. What's the score? He won all 3 of his Armageddons, no?
Yeah, I think that's the current score line. And Yu Yangyi doesn't even take on d3. Here goes b5, queen c2, king h8. But that obviously is an admission that something has gone quite badly wrong. And you can, for instance, continue playing slowly, go rook e2 here, preparing rook a1, e1 or rook f1. One thing you don't do is take on e4 until you have a very good reply to the immediate pressure on the f file. Which starts with b4. Yeah, maybe he finally decides that your plan of b4, c4, c5 is very strong. He can just after bishop a7 play c4 and yeah, and lock this bishop down on a7, sort of. It will come back to b8, so it's not that obviously great. Yeah, bc4. You can also not take with the pawn. You can take with the bishop, for instance. You've also made maybe some advances, or even the queen.
As long as this f pawn stays there, there's not that much pressure on f2, no? I wish he goes dc.
Yeah, knight f6, c5, the queen will go probably to c7, yeah, and already played by Yuengi, hinting at bishop b8 and the attack on that diagonal. This is not as clear as all that, to be honest. Black generally often creates a lot of counterplay against these types of structures. G3 played, but can play knight G4, creating ideas of knight E5, knight F3.
I'm still surprised you think black is in the game. I would think it's a matter of technique.
Objectively has to be winning for white, but in a blitz game I think it's quite possible to blunder some kind of a one-move shot here.
Yeah, that's always possible.
And suddenly the position, yeah, for instance, yeah, you plays queen c8 here, creates an idea of a 5f4. And yeah, queen d2, obviously Vishy is not going to blunder f4, but let's say after queen d2 we can still go f4. Actually, like I think the position now is completely unclear.
Wow.
f4, bishop f4, queen h3.
King g2, f4 is not helping our case.
Well, he already played queen d2, so...
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think after f4 here we are, I mean, it's a new game. Maybe you have to go bishop takes f6.
Queen d7?
Yeah, but bishop f6 there is already a move e3. No, a3 bishop takes g7 check is not good. So maybe Vishy can still re-establish control by bishop f6, but I'm not at all sure. And Vishy takes
f4, bishop f4, queen h3.
Yeah, are we missing something? Because this looks like it could be winning for black, to be honest, and not white.
Use back.
Yeah, I just, yeah, I think Vishy kind of lost control here. And this is what I was kind of referring to in these structures, because the white king is nowhere near as safe as it looks. I honestly don't see a move for white here that kind of does anything good. Maybe you actually have to play f3 and then queen h2 or something, but it feels like it's not going to go well for Vishy. Yeah.
Wow.
But
I
I'm honestly
didn't see that coming. I thought Vishy had everything under control.
Struggling to come up with anything better than f3.
So maybe the c4 DC allowing this pawn chain to stick around was not as great as it looked.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about, I guess, the Magnus game here, but we are going to stick with the Armageddon until it finishes and then switch to that.
Yeah, Magnus' game is still rook ending. Magnus still fighting for a draw. We expect, probably successfully, to be determined later. In the Grishu-Karana game, there is also still the 4 versus 3 status quo on board. Once again, Karana a favorite to make a draw, but not over yet. Back to...
Yeah, and Vishy does play f3, f queen h2, and here actually...
I was thinking about f2, but I couldn't really...
The point is queen takes h2 just secures the full point for Ding.
Knight g4 check and king g1 you have f2 check.
Yeah, I just pick up all the materials.
Yeah, no, nice.
It's...
yeah, he's done it. King h1, Vishy had to go with knight f2, yeah?
Knight f2, and yeah, and then I pick up sort of the entire house. And well, kind of win if I need to, but I don't need to, so... Yeah, that was a sort of a big turnaround from Vishy, because he must have been close to completely winning at one point in this game, but not anymore.
Yeah, Yu Yang continues being unbeatable in Armageddons, and if Magnus were to lose today, he could actually make a run for first place. We're not there yet. But kudos to Yu Yang, who's gotten into some trouble once in a while, but he's proved incredibly resilient, incredibly sharp tactically. He just keeps winning one after the other. Alan's Gambit says, please take a look at clock at Vishy game. Yeah, Vishy has 419, Yu Yang has 133. Should be enough in this situation. Of course, it's still a factor, but 133 to give mate or perpetual with these two rooks is plenty of time, frankly. He will not blunder king h6, bishop somewhere, rook
king
h8.
h6, yeah, bishop d5 is the move to make, I guess. But the fact is, black only needs a draw here, and he will find some kind of a perpetual if suddenly his position kind of stops being completely winning.
There you go, king h5, bishop f3, rook f3, king g2, rook a3. So you want to be super cynical.
Well, I think you go king h7 actually, and or g5, and you continue playing normally, because yeah, the white pawns don't really run anywhere near fast enough. And yeah, black is still sort of fully in control here.
Evan's Gambit saying, this is Armageddon. I'm an idiot. Sorry to all. Why? What happened?
I do not know. Yeah, and Yuan now can just give a perpetual in the current position by sort of giving checks from c1 and c2, and white cannot really allow f2. But he goes king g4. Yeah, he knows he's winning. He's not worried. Just decides that he doesn't need to repeat when. Yeah, and Vish I think just resigned.
She's not the type to mess around with that kind of position.
Yep.
Good job, Yu Yang.
So in this match, you took Yuan and I took Vichy. So
Boom, comeback.
what happened in Livon versus Wesley? Livon won eventually, yeah?
Livon won because Wesley allowed mate in one, making me fall behind hopelessly in the standings.
No,
instead of doing a good
equal
also
now, yeah.
flagging job.
Because I made a mistake on this question here. Okay, and people were saying that allowing before in the Magnus endgame was a mistake, and now it's a draw, and it does appear that this is a...
Good thing is against all these B pawns you can defend passively, and you still draw.
Yeah. It's curious that he goes king c2 here and not king b3. That's not obvious to me at all. But I guess it probably doesn't matter very much. I'd be slightly worried about king c4, e5 check, king d5, rook b4, and like g4.
Maybe that's what Suat Atalik is also hinting at in the chat. He's saying Ding should start b pawn sex.
Yeah, and I thought king b3 was to like very, very convincingly dealing with this stuff, but maybe not so much actually. Maybe if you go king b3 just for a second, if we go back to that position on move 42 and play king b3 instead, we go rook g8 and it kind of comes to the same, because after e5, king d5, king b4, king e5, king b5, king e5, maybe you are actually more likely to lose this one than the one we're discussing.
Now we need counting skills.
G4, it might actually be lost here, g4 and then king e4. You probably go to g3 though, you don't go to g1, yeah? So that I don't have an easy way to pick up the pawn on e3.
Yeah, I was worried, but here we have this.
Yeah, it's probably actually a draw, because
we go somewhere else. Yeah.
It's impossible to make much progress.
Is it?
King c3.
King c3. No, Tsugi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll get, and also it's the g pawn which is very relevant. It's the pawn where white can actually, yeah, that's how we lose. Yeah. Sorry. King c4 played. What's the time situation there? Both have plenty. So
70 minutes for Magnus. 25 for Ding Liren. No particular time trouble. And they are past move 40. It's move 42, so they do get 10 seconds increment. Still, it's not like they can have a deep think at any point. But no time trouble.
And in the Grisha game, there was briefly, very nicely, Fabi decided to demonstrate one of the things we were talking about, and he's actually still demonstrating it. The queen is on f6, kind of inviting white to take, and as we stated earlier, this actually makes making the draw a lot easier if white takes on f6, and Sasha continues not taking, but then Fabi attacks the rook, and yeah, I think g4. I understand the reasoning behind it, but it actually,
I didn't like it one bit.
Yeah, it seemed like it gave more targets.
Yeah.
Junyu 18 says Sasha on the verge of winning. I do not think so. I think that Machine probably says +1 here, but in actual fact, you don't win this. What happens if I play queen f4 here?
Probably queen f3, queen f6, and rinse and repeat.
Oh, I can even go queen d6 because it came from d6. I'm wondering if I can somehow play f3 and not get mated, but in this particular constellation of pieces, yeah, after rook d8, I think I might actually be getting mated. Yeah, you just, like, it's not something you want to.
No, Fabi will defend this.
Yeah.
Suat and his chess culture. He's saying, did not Rubinstein win such an ending? Probably did, but not against Fabi.
Okay, queen f4, he wants queen g3, but yeah, it's still... Is the queen ending difficult for black to hold?
How do you get to queen ending?
Well, queen d2, rook b8. Here I actually do get a queen ending.
Ah, okay. Didn't know if rook b8 was a given. My best guess would be no.
Yeah, probably fine to hold. Yeah, it's
especially with these pawns.
Yeah, it's a bit passive, but the white king is a bit too open for this to be a big problem for black.
Filipino's asking, can you get the rook to the 6th? Probably, but what does it do there? I'm not sure what you mean. The white rook to the 6th rank.
Yeah, Fabi decides not to even get involved with queen f4, goes queen d7, asking white to once again either commit to something like f3, which should give him immediate counterplay, which should be enough for a draw. Or, yeah, I think it might just be kind of, I don't know about mathematically drawn now, but...
Evans Gambit is asking to be banned. I still don't understand for what. What was Evans Gambit's crime? But... sounds like he feels remorse about something.
That's a rare enough case of, you know. So how do we hold this?
Which one? This one?
Yeah, this one. In more serious news, how do we hold this with one?
We take. You go g4?
Yeah, I go g4. Actually, do I go g4? Maybe I just... Yeah, I think I have to go g4 here.
Because my point was, if you don't, I can run around.
No, I mean king e5 is the other move.
Yeah.
And you think king
I was
d3...
hoping I could run.
So you think this is an easy draw after rook b6
I
king
don't
somewhere, yeah? I'm not entirely sure. Rook b4 played, we'll see what Ding thinks about things here. But yeah, g4 I think is kind of more critical. g4, rook b5, king e4. Yeah, but this probably is just a draw after, like, can I play e6, rook e6, king d2 probably is a draw. This is how I want to go about things.
This is how you do it.
King g2, g3, king e2, and only after g2 I will play rook g5. And if you play king f3 here, I think I should quite comfortably hold the position after rook f5 check. Yeah, well, this I lost, but I do have rook b4 check instead.
Ah, you meant g2.
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, g4 played. Yeah, and Magnus could also play king d3 for... no, it's an easy draw, of course, yeah. King d3 now. And after g3 we can go rook b5, king c6. I'm going slightly insane. It's not an easy draw. This actually... Oh no, I am insane. Yeah, okay.
Still a draw, yeah?
Yeah, of course it's a draw, but I just... I for some reasons thought that it queens. But after king d3 they go king c5. I will eventually make a move which is not an immediate double question mark mistake.
Never happened to me. So let's take this guy.
Yeah, let's recalculate this. King e4.
King e, yeah? Or...
No, I wanted to go e6 first, because g3 I want to go
G3,
e7.
E7, yeah, that matters.
No, but actually this is what we need to check. g3, e7, rook e6, rook g5, king f3. Because this isn't a much improved version from black, I have a feeling.
Must think.
This might not be a draw anymore. Yeah, Evixor says king d3 loses to king c5. I did eventually spot it, but it did take me like 2.5 minutes.
Would you like to apologize?
Possibly. Rook is, yeah, g2 and then rook takes e7. But you have a check. Maybe it's still a draw, yeah? Rook e7 and rook, and then you yeah, this is a draw. Can I improve on the move g2? Probably.
This is a weird phenomenon. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
For the king.
Yeah, rook b5 played, unsurprisingly. King e4 is the only try. And yeah, my current thinking is that e6 holds quite comfortably, and there's probably other ways as well, but I think it's probably advisable to start making force draws here instead of playing slowly.
So it's saying rook g7 easy
That
draw.
wasn't, yeah, that was in that line. Yeah.
So it knows his rook endings. El Tolo is saying, please concentrate on ongoing game instead of indulging in analyzing a blitz game.
What?
I don't know. No, I think I disagree with that. I think the Armageddon games, if that's what you mean, we shall cover because it's easy to catch up with the ongoing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. I will concentrate on being back.
Sure. Mouse, kommt heraus.
Wow, that was some good German.
Yeah, in the Grisha game, White kind of managed to stabilize here, but it's still very, very difficult. Actually, I'm not even sure this is true because the rook has to go along the fourth, and then the queen will attack it again, like rook a4, queen d7, or rook c4, queen e6. And the queen has just moved to g3 from a decent enough looking square. It was on b3 one move prior to this. So yeah, it feels like maybe if White were given a tempo here to do something clever, like, I don't know, play rook d4 and then, no, but even this was, I think, on the board at some point. Rook d4, Black makes a pass, White plays queen f4, seemingly achieving some kind of a good position, and then queen f6 once again holds. And Sasha repeats with queen b3, so the feeling is it might finish in a draw reasonably soon, or maybe he goes after queen d7 for something like king h3, hoping to achieve something. But then, I mean, queen d2 is actually quite annoying to deal with. And in the Magnus game, Magnus just goes rook b4 check. What happens if I play king f3 here? Yeah, my guess is he just wants to go for some, oops, not rook f5, of course. You go rook f6 here, and then you go e6, e7, and we re-establish that same setup we were discussing earlier. Like, let's say rook g7, e6, g3, rook f7, rook e8, rook g8, e7, and after g2, White even has rook g7 here with the pawn queen English check. Ding instead takes on e3 immediately, and then, yeah, I think e6 just holds on the spot here. Let's say g3, e7, rook e6, and once again we get to the same setup where rook f7 check, just oops, not rook h7 of course, but rook g7. And if Black goes king f3 here, yeah, what do we do? Why have we allowed this?
How did you get this e6?
Well, he didn't play e6.
He didn't start with e6?
No.
That's weird. Mr. Dodgy is saying, I tire of this endgame, do something funny. Yeah, I have no clue. That's my problem with all this.
Will you rid me of this tiresome endgame?
Maybe Magnus got tired of this endgame and did something funny, no? Like,
yeah, it actually
this seems to be keeping a lot more options.
Yeah, I thought this was stronger, but he chose differently. And now after king f3, I'm slightly surprised because I think maybe what he wants to do is rook b3 check, and if king f2, he wants to go e7, rook e6, and rook b4. But yeah, I'm worried I will lose after something like king.
Same construction.
Yeah,
with
but
G3, rook
I'm
F4.
worried I will lose after something like king g3 first. Yeah, king g3, rook b3 check, or rook b7, king h2, and you might not be in time to get back to the other side of the board. And then
you need the rook here.
Yeah, the rook on b7 will not draw. The rook needs to be on f7, g7, h7, and if we can't teleport it to the other side of the board, we might actually lose this position. I am very surprised by all of this. We're obviously missing something. Okay, maybe king f3, rook b6 is the point, but like in the current position.
Threatening e7.
Yeah, but okay, rook g7. And now maybe rook d6, d7 or something. But yeah, it feels like we might still be in trouble after rook e7, for instance. Yeah.
At some point, can we start bringing the king in?
Yeah, probably here the king runs and the king is in time. G2, rook d3 check. Yeah, just in time.
Barely, but
yeah, but barely. But we get there. But Yeah, okay, but Magnus calculates these things quite fast, so I wouldn't be surprised if he just blitzes out some kind of an entire sentence after queen g3. Sequence, not sentence, which leads to a draw. But yeah, for me, you know, as somebody who is nowhere near as confident in my rook ending skills, this setup feels a lot shakier than the one we were advocating for.
Yeah, then again, Magnus has a lot of classical knowledge about all these situations and his fast calculator, so yeah, I'm with you that probably he's figured something out and then decided it wasn't necessarily to figure out an alternative. But we have seen rook endings lost even at the highest levels that are in textbooks. Even Magnus once lost this, not very often, but he lost this 2 versus 1 against Aronian 10 years ago. Then he celebrated when he made a draw against Fedosseev from the same. And he lost this famous rook ending to, who was it, Wang Hao maybe? Some 3 versus 4?
No, but that was a lot less easily drawn.
Yeah.
The one he lost to Hao is actually supposed to be quite tricky and has been lost over the course of history by a decent amount of strong players.
King f3 has been played,
Yeah.
and yeah, he has to find this rook b6 business apparently.
Yeah, we suspect rook b6 is the way to go here. Yeah, and Dodgy says I kept reading that endgames were really important, so I stopped reading.
Not rook g7, of course. So this is a nice trick. Yeah, I did this endgame series with the late Mark Dvoretsky, and I felt I was learning a lot of stuff while we were doing it. The problem is it doesn't stick with me, which I know is a lousy excuse, and you could go for more repetitions. It's just such a specific brand of chess that some people are excellent at it. Never really into
Rook b3 check played. Yeah, we expect
b3.
king.
King f2.
Yeah, king f2 probably. And then he can even force the king to g3 and then play rook b6. I guess that's even smart. Yeah, I quite like this.
Saying
Yeah.
rook b4 or what
Yeah, rook b4 because g3 forces what we want.
Yeah,
Not the
this is
e7.
the same business again. We get the rook on this side, and the king alone can never beat this rook and the pawn.
Yeah,
you
so
can
rook
go ahead.
b3, we thought king f2, rook b4, king g3, but then actually rook b6 obviously gains in strength because the king is getting in the way of your own promotion possibilities. Yeah, this should be a draw. Yeah. And now,
Here and
yeah, I suspect even king d3 instead probably is good enough, and we might actually get the king closer to the close enough to the e pawn that we can start just giving our rook up. King f2 played. Yeah, I expect Magnus will go rook b4 and then actually rook b4, king g3, rook e4 is probably an immediate draw. Yeah, so we did spot the rook b3, rook b4 idea, but we couldn't really assess it properly, but Magnus is still perfectly fine here.
while its power move is getting up, standing next to the board, while the camera has yet to move, and he will be disappearing in the next frame. No, he's still there. I don't like it when they do that. It means they're confident. When they stand up and then look at the position. Just making sure it's a draw. It never means you're in trouble.
Yeah, is Sasha still continuing to look for better squares, or have they agreed to draw there?
No, they're still playing.
Ah, yeah, he played king f3. Yeah, if let's say he gets rook b5, rook f5, does it improve his chances or still not really very much? Also, do we need to stop queen h2?
The king is so open. Looks unpleasant, no?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's still annoying. Yeah. I was about to say something very, very demonstrably stupid and decided not to in the end.
Sad.
Yeah, destroying all the comedic value. Sasha's king is less safe, he is worse, says Mr. Dodgy. Yeah.
Here he might be.
Probably still not, but...
Well, you don't allow this. I think it's just a draw.
Yeah,
Fabi doesn't even have to exchange queens.
5 against 20 as well, sort of getting to the point where even if you spot something where like your king starts running but you make some progress, you will be very nervous about attempting that because not very much time left and blunders become more possible.
Yeah, this 5 against 20 is very self-inflicted for spending 42 minutes on the move g4 here,
And
which I still don't like.
Marx in particular with the very nice comedic value, just as I have abandoned the idea, asking Messieurs Gustafsson and Svidler, why are you not playing in this tournament?
It's a fair question. Peter actually did play in this tournament. No, when did you play?
I played 13, 14, and that I think is it, right? Or maybe I played one. No, I think I only played 2.
One time, you were asked to play, but you had already signed on as a commentator.
Yeah,
No? But,
I could have played a 3rd time, but we had our agreement, and
No. We would have let you out. Come on. Don't put the blame on us.
no, it's not the question of blame. I just felt I gave well, you personally and Chess24 in general my word that I will do the commentary, and I felt it was important to keep it. It's not really a question of blaming anyone. Yeah, king takes 6, and now he goes king d3, and only after g3 will he go into the pawn endgame. Or even, yeah, you can even really tease black here with king e2, g2. Yeah, but I think giving a check here is not a mistake, really. And then going king e3, f3, g2, and
I think this is a draw.
I have a feeling this is a draw as well. Yeah. Although Magnus might dislike it on
Stalemating grounds.
yeah, on the ground of that allows black to stalemate him. So he'll probably actually go king e2 here.
I agree.
No, Magnus. Very upsetting.
And it feels like 2 draws are in the making.
Yeah, actually.
Is this another 5 draw round? I
Yeah.
feel my thesis is gaining more data by the day.
Sure. So you took Magnus winning against Ding outright. So I'm now on a free roll in this match, and we both took Grishuk in the other one. So
in the Armageddon, yeah.
yeah, I'm free rolling here to go 1 up in our little competition.
Don't like it.
Yeah, who doesn't like free rolls? And yeah, it's I think I also gave stalemate to Magnus in this European Club Cup game, right?
Brag.
But what I mean is, Ding could have made this game shorter by playing G2,
You
G1.
want the stalemate,
yeah,
come on.
yeah, but you
Also, he can make a mistake here after king h3. King h1 is strictly the only move.
that is very
Here,
true.
boom, the pawn queens.
That is very true.
Maybe we'll find it. I once had this position against Morozevich. He gave a check, and he went here.
Yeah. Danger Mouse says, I don't accept Peter's commitment. We all remember the time he qualified for the candidates, and then I can't read because the screen is not wide enough. Messing up the commentary plans.
There you go.
That's because I think had I made actual sort of nailed on, set in stone plans, I would, out of my sense of honor, decline to qualify for the candidates, but
So I'm saying Ruben Fine's book is probably the best book ever written. Is that on Endgames?
probably, yeah, I think they've been discussing endgame books for a while there in chat. I don't feel qualified to support that discussion.
No, I heard that Ruben's was a fine book. I read the Keras book. It's also pretty good. When I was a young man. You can see that gave me all this rook ending knowledge that I'm spitting here.
And Lorinda says, I should imagine that now that we've heard Jan's opinion on the fifth element, Peter will qualify for the candidates just to not cover it. Yeah, no, I don't think that's.
I thought about rewatching the first 5 minutes of the fifth element so I could do a proper rant about it today. But I didn't find time because I was very busy eating barbecue, taking a nap, eating ice cream. So did not have the time. I did some cricket research.
Yeah, we did see the fruits of that.
I read that both Virat Kohli and Steve Smith won the Garfield Trophy. Did you know that? Virat Kohli got the Garfield Trophy in 2017, 2018. Steve Smith in 2015, 2016. Which I think is a tremendous honor for best batsman of the year or something.
I actually did not know that,
No, you
and I would actually kind of guessed incorrectly on what the Garfield Trophy is. I thought they...
I also thought it was best lasagna eater or something, but no, it has to do something with being a batsman.
And Lorinda says, have you considered skipping the first 5 minutes of The Fifth Element? And starting watching straight from the moment Mila Jovovich appears on screen. This actually is maybe a nice life hack.
I don't know. I feel if you want to watch a movie, you should start at the very beginning.
Well, yes, but...
I don't understand what Ding did here at all, by the way. Like, you either stalemate the guy for the moral victory or not, but you don't go G2 check and offer a draw.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, I have to say. But nonetheless, we will have... if the previous couple of rounds is anything to go by, we will have them staggered, right? They will not be...
They shall be staggered.
Okay. So they will actually be staggered so they don't coincide at all, right?
I would guess so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm not sure who finished first. Probably Grishuk.
Yeah, I had a feeling Sasha finished slightly earlier. VS85 with the really hard-hitting questions. Why is it that Peter keeps drinking water and Jan keeps taking bathroom breaks? We are one living organism. We are the Borg, basically.
Wow, that sounds like a human centipede situation. No.
Okay.
Let's sum up before this gets awkward, because we hate awkwardness on this program.
Yeah, we don't embrace it at all.
5 draws, who would have thought? I actually thought Magnus would beat Ding in Classical, but he did not do so. He barely made a draw, which means that his streak of draws continues against Ding. 9 draws between them in Classical games. Yet Ding looking confident against Magnus.
Yeah. And I actually have Ding in the in Armageddon, which is frankly kind of risky, but
that gives me a shot at least to break even on that one. Then we had Anand against Yu Young-yi, sort of your typical Petrov game, where Anand put some pressure, but it wasn't really enough to rattle Yu Young-yi unduly. Anand lost the Armageddon. Levin Aronian versus Wesley, so not a spectacular Classical game, but dramatic Armageddon, where Levon delivered checkmate on h7 with 13 seconds left on the clock. Mamadiyarov MVL was Mamadiyarov forcing a draw out of the opening, and then Carmageddon struck and he lost the tiebreaker. Grishuk against Caruana. After Caruana probably mixed up something in the opening, he had to suffer and work quite a bit for the draw, but he proved that he is world class. First of all, by being world number 2 and almost winning the World Championship match, but also by holding the draw today. So that Armageddon is coming up soon, as is the Armageddon in Carlsen versus Ding.
Yep. But we might have something like between 5 and 10 minutes here, right? Until they start.
Nope.
Nope. Do we have times?
I have no idea when they start. But yeah, I'm guessing they always give like 20 minutes break after the thingy. I can check. Oops. I should not put our internal secrets on screen. Sorry. I'm checking the chat here when it starts.
Okay, 21. So we have 15 minutes until Fabi's, and they will not stagger them completely, apparently, according to what we have on our screen. Magnus will start 10 minutes after Fabi. Fabi's game will be unlikely. Yeah, I can't speak.
I guess they wait, but who knows? Yeah, it says 9 p.m. Caruana and 10 past 9 Carlsen.
Yeah, the Caruana game is very, very unlikely to only be 10 minutes long, considering it's 10 versus 7. I'll take a bit of a break here, and both of us will be here for the exciting conclusion to today's festivities. And Jan might...
I'll stick around. I'll be here all the way, because we need to do the Desert Island discussion. I can start myself.
Yeah, you go.
So the Desert Island discussion, I feel, is an integral part of any Chess24 broadcast, around the very simple premise. If you were to be stranded on a desert island, you can only choose one of the participants from this tournament as your companion on said island. Which one would you choose? I know Peter will pick Grishuk, because he always picks Grishuk. But let us go through the options. Magnus Carlsen. Advantages. Physically strong. Smart. Multilingual. Very famous, so probably all Scandinavian fleets would be sent out to find him, even the Danish submarine. Therefore, there are a lot of advantages to having Magnus around. Also has a good sense of humor, good command of pop culture. There are a lot of pluses. Minuses, could be a bit of a bully, would be very disappointed with my lack of physical or mental ability to either entertain him or be of any use. So, a lot of pluses, some minuses there in the Magnus case. Ding Liren, lots of pluses. Seems humble. I think he gave an interview that is completely fine. Living on instant noodles and studying chess. He's sort of skinny as well, so I feel like there would be a lot of food left over for me. And language-wise, yeah, he's not as... well, I don't speak Chinese. His English, I think, is pretty good, so we could communicate. But I would guess, this is just a guess, but I would guess he's not as well-versed in pop culture and the idiotic things that I'm interested in as someone like Magnus. Still, Ding would be pretty high on my list. Vichy, vegetarian, which is good because he won't eat any of the boar meat that I'll be catching. Drawback is he's been living the good life for too long, so in a survival situation, I'm not sure how he would adjust. Yu Yang Yi, I don't know very much about Yu Yang Yi. I would guess his English is not as good as Ding's, but I could be wrong about that. I've never talked to Yu Yang Yi, so honestly I don't know. I think once I interviewed the Chinese team after they won the Chess Olympiad in Tromsø, whenever year that was, 2014 maybe. And Yu Yang Yi was in the studio, but he didn't say very much. I'm guessing he speaks decent English too. But I have a feeling to devise cunning plans to conquer the adjacent islands, we might have troubles. Levon, sort of similar situation to Magnus, physically strong, very cunning, and vegetarian, which is a plus. Bit of a bully. He's normally very nice, but after he's had a drink, he can be very mean to me, which, then again, there might not be drinks on the island, and I don't think he would get high on coconut juice. Therefore, yeah, Levon also fairly high on the list. Also famous, similar situation with the Armenian fleet. Wesley, let's think. I don't think he's into pop culture. Levon is very much into hip-hop and stuff like that, so we could have idiotic conversations. Wesley, I feel, yeah, less likely to bully me. I guess he's also physically strong. Not as famous as the Levons and Carlsens of the world. I'm not sure how good he is at cooking, preparing meals, that kind of stuff, building life rafts. So for now, I think it would be kind of low on my list, but I should give it some more thought. Shahmamedyarov, another strong guy. I think he'd stay very relaxed. He would not panic, given the circumstances. He might... I was going to say he might know a thing or two about building a raft, but I have zero evidence on that topic. I know he's a big, passionate bowler, and I think he might over-prioritize, like building entertainment choices, like a bowling alley on the island, instead of building that raft. So that could be an issue. One would have to get him motivated. On the other hand, I do believe that he would be sort of an anchor in the situation. MVL, sitting the gym a lot these days. So he is reasonably strong. Very pleasant company. No one ever has a bad word to say about MVL. He's already 38 years old, so his physical prowess might be somewhat lower than some of the younger guys. But that should not be a big deterrent. But there is a French accent, which I think we just wouldn't get along. You know how it is. The Germans and the French. There's always tension. No, I kid. I think MVL would be a good choice. Not sure how good he is at hunting and fishing and building life rafts. Grishuk, obviously. Great company. Witty. Strong. Great problem-solving skills. Should be high on anybody's list. Fabi, I think, underrated choice. Fabi, very nice guy. Quite famous. Rex Sinkerfield would instantly have a budget for Fabi's saving. Captain Kazim would be cruising the 5 oceans, other 5 oceans, looking for Fabi all over the place. That's a big plus. Can't see any drawbacks with Fabi. Not really, actually. Very good command of pop culture. Good sense of humor. Maybe physical strength is a bit lower than some of the other guys, even though he clearly works out as well. But yeah, Fabi very high on that list too. So now that we've gone through all the options, what's the final choice? So hard to go against. Grishuk is good, Fabi's good, Magnus is good. I don't know. The chat is once again protesting MVL's age. I can't have this discussion every day. Just get used to it. You know what? Since I know Peter will pick Grishuk, can I go with Fabi? Is that treason in like Team Magnus circles? Magnus probably gives you the best chances for survival. If he doesn't leave you behind when the Norwegian fleet comes there. It's a toss-up. Number 1 or number 2? Blue Scholar is saying Fabi too skinny. Will starve soon. But isn't that a plus that he doesn't require as much food? I don't know. I'm stuck. Because I know you will take Grishuk for the Desert Island game. I don't want to take your guy away. So I'm stuck between Fabi and Magnus Carlsen. Who would you recommend, Peter? Lorenda is saying it can't be treason. He probably doesn't want to be on a desert island. That's a good point.
Sorry.
I can't decide between Carlsen and Caruana. Those are the finalists for my desert island question. Because I thought Grishuk would be on your island already. You can pick for me. Which one would you recommend?
Well, are we back to the who do we pick as a...
Yeah, we only have one topic here.
How many can I pick?
One.
Out of this field. Why am I not allowed to pick Sasha?
No, you already have Sasha. I know you're picking Sasha every time. So I, on purpose, did not pick him because I knew you would pick him. Therefore, I'm asking you for help. Who I should pick instead?
Like, we keep on returning to the discussion of whether, like, you should maximize your EV of getting off the island, or if you should maximize your EV of enjoyment whilst being on the island, and those two are very different.
That's the point I was coming to as well.
Yeah.
Magnus probably gives you the best chance of getting off the island, both by fame and physical prowess, unless the Norwegian fleet says, sorry, this lifeboat we sent only has space for one. Who do we save? Magnus Carlsen, Norwegian World Champion, Jan Gustafsson, random guy. I don't like my chances there. Well, Fabi, I feel Fabi would not leave me behind. And you know that's my deepest fear, to be left behind there all by myself and end up in like a castaway situation.
No child left behind.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you've outlined the debate fairly clearly there.
Right.
For me, it would be between Magnus and Sasha in those stakes, and honestly, Magnus should be reasonably high on both lists.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think Sasha is a bad pick either in terms of EV. I mean, the Norwegian fleet,
Less famous, no?
yeah, the Norwegian fleet will not show up, and
Exactly.
and the Russian fleet maybe not
Speaking
going to
of
show
not
up.
showing up, what happened to us? Ah, here we are.
Here we are, yeah. But yeah, he is reasonably fit. I suspect he is a much better handyman than I am, and yeah, we do get along quite well. So.
Who would have thought Peter Svidler picked Alexander Grishuk?
Yeah, stunning turnaround from what has been going on in the previous 6 days of this show, 5, 6, whatever. Who counts?
Where my Armageddon's at? Grichuk versus Caruana still about to begin, as is. Where is this thing? Here. Magnus versus Ding. I think Ding, by the way, underrated option. Humble, doesn't eat a lot of food. Probably, I don't know this, but I just have a feeling he's handy. And yeah, would be a total team player. Speaks decent English. I think underrated sense of humor. I wasn't sure about you, Young Yi's English, but Ding, you're on my list. So these games are starting in 3 minutes/10 minutes, if we've been informed correctly.
Yeah, that's the info given us by our man in place.
Man in Black International. I'm going Thursday night.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all actually, but kind of depends on whether I will be as crocked as I am right now.
Wow. I'll figure it out. Because it's not just Men in Black fighting aliens. Now they're doing it outside of the United States. Or I guess that's what the title implies.
Maybe it's international aliens. Maybe.
Ah, that could be, not just US aliens.
Yeah. Prior to that, they were fighting those pesky US aliens, and now they are branching out.
Purple Haze is saying, unless I listen to you two much too often, I can't pick up your satire. I can't pick up that sentence even.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unless I listen to you too often, I can't pick up your satire. So you have to over-listen to us in order to understand the satire, or to pick up satire. There wasn't any meant.
Yeah, there's very little actual satire on this show, because I think satire implies kind of biting, humorous commentary on political issues. It has been known to happen on this show, but doesn't happen every day. Sarcasm, though, and
Sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, and the only way I know how to communicate. It's a bit sad.
does Svidler watch anime? Asks Sally. A little bit, but nowhere near as much as I would like to, because clearly I don't have enough pointless hobbies. And yeah, I don't know how to follow that sentence.
Go ahead. Tell us about your hobbies. Your average day. You're at home in St. Petersburg. When do you wake up?
I wake up very early. I mean, not as early as I used to, because the kids no longer need to be, taken to school by hand at about 7:30. But then the Armageddon has started. But yeah, I still wake up reasonably early. Like, I don't think there are many days when I'm up by later than 8.
Do you get out of bed then too?
Yeah.
Wow.
And a Spanish by Fabi in a must-draw game instead of the Sveshnikov. This is a somewhat surprising choice.
Why does he never play the Petrov in these must-draws?
Yeah, also that, but interesting that he doesn't think that the Sveshnikov is a reliable enough weapon with shorter time controls, because to my eyes, like playing the Sveshnikovs is a lot drier and a lot more forcing than playing some kind of an unclear Spanish position. Although I quite like his unclear Spanish position, frankly, because I think Sasha was trying to avoid the open Spanish, which is why he played 5d3, and that allows Black a lot more freedom. We will eventually get the cams.
Who knows? For now, let's switch to our custom view. Apologies for that. And talk about the position on the board.
I'm a bit. Why is the bishop on b7? Explain this to me.
Well, I give this rant every time. Don't put the bishop there.
No, but he specifically played b5, bishop b7 in a position where I think the plan normally is something like king h8, knight g8, and f5.
There is this plan, but I wouldn't be very high on my list either. So
I'm very confused by
this. Maybe d5 is what he wants. for d5.
No, I think he went for knight d7 and f5.
Oh,
and,
okay.
yeah, and Sasha says, yeah, please play f5 because it sharpens the position up wonderfully for me, even if it's correct. And I think it is correct here to play f5. Also, it's kind of important to note that white doesn't have really very much play in order to stop f5. Fabi decides to wait for another move and go knight e7. Now white can play bishop b3, but black can just play d5, 4 h6, king h7, and then f5. There's a number of options available to Fabi. And after d4 he goes c5.
Yeah, this is a rare plan. This bishop b7, knight d7 business.
Yeah, it's as if black played the Witelki, right? But
What?
What do you mean?
No, I just never heard the term. Utelki?
Well, the g6, bishop g7, d6, e6, knight d7, knight d7, and then actually push d5 and c5.
Ah, okay.
I think it's named after the Hungarian, I think Grandmaster Witelki, but...
Very possibly, yeah, just wasn't familiar. b4 plate. This looks like a nice must-win position, no? Board full of pieces, you may be slightly better.
I'm not sure why you're slightly better, but yeah, it's a very nice fighting position. Like black could even maybe consider going ed4, cd4, knight c6 here, but yeah, I think we finally got the view we desired.
I still don't trust it very much, but shall we try one more time?
Let's...
Please. Don't tease it yet. We're still on it. ED, CD, knight c6 plate.
Yeah, and Fabi goes for something completely different, and something I like instinctively like slightly less, frankly, or not at all, to be honest. He goes c4, queen c1. What? Okay, Sasha is just completely insane.
There you go, bishop h6, hanging the bishop.
Yeah, that's not great.
Wow, he thought his knight was already on f1. Okay, if this happened, and it looks like it happened, yeah, this is time to say goodbye.
Yeah, this is...
Our cam is a little behind, but I'm expecting the game is over and Grisha will have resigned after bishop h6 takes. To repeat, in this position, he went bishop to h6, assuming that his bishop was defended. But after bishop takes h6, he's about to realize that queen takes h6 is not a legal move. And that is, frankly, fairly shocking.
Yeah, he's not been doing well in this tournament even prior to this, but yeah, this is not what you would expect from a blitz player of his caliber.
And damn gone.
Yeah, he is just kind of, he's been having hallucinations of some sort throughout the event, and today, unfortunately for his many fans in this studio, has been kind of the same story.
Okay, that settles the desert island question. Fabi, you're in. Grishi, you're out. That might not be a punishment.
Yeah, instead of bishop h6, play, let's say, g5, knight e5, bishop d4, and the game continues. Black could very easily be completely fine, maybe even more than completely fine, but there's every single piece still on the board, and yeah. And when he went bishop h6, I thought that's a very smart move, and because when somebody like him goes bishop h6, you don't really expect the bishop is unprotected, and then I thought, hang on a second, Fabi seems to be a little bit too happy about taking on h6.
Yeah, this is fairly shocking.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a while. It once happened against me, and once again bringing us to, I think we had this discussion at one point during our many broadcasts, that there is no clear-cut definition of what luck in chess is and whether it even exists, but it definitely applies more to, and happens more to, younger players. And in the Russian Championship in '95, I played against Sergei Ivanov, my not a compatriot. I mean, all of the players in the Russian Championships are my compatriots. But he's also from St. Petersburg, is what I'm trying to say. And he just played bishop, I think, e2, g4, thinking his queen is on d1. And when I took bishop c8 takes g4, he kind of realized there is no piece there which can recapture, and resigned. So these things do happen, but extremely rarely.
But they don't happen much. Like,
yeah,
even these straight hallucinations. I might have had one or two in my life, and I'm obviously nowhere near the player Grishuk is. But so yeah, this really shows that he's out of it.
Yeah, and not very nice to see, frankly. A very, very strong player just struggle to, losing basically the fight against his own brain is what is happening here. This is, I mean, no blame attaches to Fabi. He played a perfectly reasonable 16 moves and then picked up a piece, but it's basically Grishuk just losing to himself, sort of day after day, and yeah, it's not much fun to watch.
There's Mr. Ding arriving for the action. Apologies for the camera thing, trust me. Not happy about it.
Very common type of blunder, to be honest, says Nov. I'm not so sure at all. Yeah, I would very much like to. Obviously, it's very difficult to set the search parameters properly, but I would very much like to somehow find out how many of these were in the games between, let's say, two grandmasters in the past 30 years. Just people flat out placing a piece on an unprotected square, losing it in one move. Even if you include, let's say, and I think this is like a very specific type of blunder. Just blundering a tactical shot, which is like a 2-move tactic. Even those are rare, but those obviously will be quite numerous. But simply actively placing a piece on an unprotected square and losing that piece, I don't think you will find very many.
No, I agree. Barely that. And it looks like we have liftoff any minute. Well, I'm slowly going insane here, but what can you do? Let's wait for a couple hours and see if some moves are coming in.
And Purple Haze asks the question which we sort of referred to at some point, maybe not today, but definitely I think tomorrow. How hard is it to switch from classical to Armageddon in 20 minutes? Hard. I mean, impossible is probably overstating it, but yeah, not easy at all. And definitely part of the reason why some of these games have been, but frankly, not very many of the Armageddon games were of kind of shockingly poor quality. When it goes down to like 20 seconds against 20 seconds, yes, crazy things have happened in more than one of them, but generally speaking, this is really the first one where you just kind of shrug your shoulders and think, what was that?
We have some moves.
Yeah, interestingly, Ding plays b5, where Fabi just now played d6, and b5 bishop c5 is obviously one of the reasons why 5d3 is supposed to be slightly inferior to 6d3 if you have a choice. But Ding plays the open Spanish, and nobody really wants to face the open Spanish in a must-win game, because nobody currently really knows what to do against the open Spanish. Or so it seems to me.
Yep.
Yeah, this is something that Ding does quite a bit. Knight a5, knight h5. This weird
Double dagger.
double attack on the bishops. Yeah, he's done this against me in a Shenzhen tournament in 2017. Not in this precise position, but I think he just quite likes this idea.
His point is knight h5 immediately can be met by knight e5.
Yeah,
Not even sure it can actually.
might be.
There's this.
Yeah, depends on knight
Knight
g3,
five.
knight c6, bishop f2 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But probably works for white. And in general, he just goes after the g3 bishop as early as possible, and the other knight slowly returns to c6, e7, g6 maybe even. And having established the knight on h5, you still have to force him to take on g3. But now, Magnus played b4, and knight c6, knight e5 probably works again, so he took on g3 and played knight c6. Yeah.
Looks nice for white, no?
I don't know, I've always felt that these positions are very good for black, but
Here?
yeah, sure.
Okay, you have the bishop here. Maybe not that nice.
Yeah, the bishop on b6 is just such a monster. But yeah, what Magnus is doing is very sensible. He brings the knight from d2 to e3, and the knight on d2 is by far the white's worst piece on the board. It was doing nothing at all, and on e3 it will have some nice squares to hope for. Although black obviously is not allowed, obliged to allow any of that. And h5 hints at the fact that black is not really looking to castle kingside. Maybe king f8, king g7 at some point, but not really castling.
Yeah, king f8, king g7, h4, g4.
Yeah, bishop.
What should Magnus do?
This is the big question. You've achieved this setup, and you still aren't really sure where your pieces are going. You can play bishop b3, and he does go bishop b3. And Ding replies by playing c6, which is slightly surprising to me because I don't think knight d5 was an actual threat you had to fight against.
Well, it's a nice move on general grounds.
Yeah.
Cover the square, overprotect this. Bishop can go back to c7.
It's sensible. Yeah, as Jan mentioned, it's just not a bad move to have made. I have a feeling if Magnus actually has to go like ab5 long castles here to push for d3, d4, because we're not castling kingside with white because we might just get mated if we do that, and if you castle queenside without playing ab, black will open too many files too quickly. But ab long castles is a sort of a very committal decision, and I'm not sure it's great, but in a must-win game you could maybe consider it.
Magnus taking a bit of time here. Ding has played very quickly as well.
Yeah.
7:33 versus 5:58 on the clock.
And just briefly there, Burns 420 says, Jan Peter, if you say my name is just Burns, I needed a number after my name, so I just threw in the 420. But you don't, didn't it occur to you that I just like saying 420? And you give me a perfect excuse to say 420 every time I reply to a comment of yours in chat.
I also don't believe that Mr. Burns chose 420 randomly.
Yeah. AB d4 played by Magnus. This is very interesting because I don't immediately understand why black can't just take twice. Sometimes there is some kind of weird e4, e5 tactics, but I don't think it's true here. I think maybe he just wants to, if black takes, no, d4, g4 played. Also very interesting.
Yeah. Once again, apologies for the cameras. They work well in the official stream on norwaychess.com. So by all means, feel free to check that out.
Yeah, Ding decides to decline the invitation. I couldn't really understand why it was wrong, but what he is doing is also very, very solid in general. Put the queen on g5. Eventually I think king f8, king g7 might be played. Or maybe rook h6, f6 also is something to consider. Magnus castles kingside.
This type of position you sometimes get from different lines in the Italian, where if black manages to keep a grip on that square, he could be okay.
Yeah, but this is why I didn't like g4, because now with the with g4, knight h4 included, white can castle kingside absolutely safely.
Bishop e3, fe is always bad because
you don't want to do that unless you have unless you force white to take with the queen somehow, and maybe not even then, because the bishop on b3 becomes much stronger and the rook on f1. Yeah, castle short, rook a d1, kind of hinting at some rook d6 ideas, but...
Kirkich is asking, Jan Peter, who do you consider the strongest Armageddon player in the world, if there is any? Hot take, Magnus Carlsen.
No, but if we're serious, I mean, there's just...
I'm very serious.
Yeah, I understand, but I think the correct answer is there's nowhere near enough data. But yeah, I mean, picking Magnus as the strongest chess player in any kind of discipline cannot be a big mistake, but... yeah, I still don't really like the idea of playing...
Looks like white made more progress than black.
g4, where g4 was played. And rook d6 is kind of a mysterious move because I don't really understand why bishop c7 cannot be played, but Ding played king g7.
He hopes for knight g6, rook g6.
Yeah, king g7, c4, and yeah, it does feel like Magnus is making sort of all of the progress. Bishop c7, he can even play
c5 maybe, no?
Yeah, I think the intention from Magnus was to play c5 here.
f4, whoa.
Okay, yeah, that is...
That's why he went rook d6, he wants gf, knight f3. Hang on, but e3 is hanging, sorry.
Oh, the game I think is just over. GF knight f3, queen e3, queen e5 is mate. Yeah, or at least it looks like mate.
Yeah, it looks very scary, but
looks like mate. Yeah, GF played, and yeah, I think Magnus is just rechecking further. But I mean, let's put this. Ah, okay. There's f6, rook f7 there. Maybe it's not mate.
I can't see the mate here. He went rook d3. Maybe he hallucinated something. Maybe he thought he trapped the queen, but.
Okay, so rook d3 played. What can black do to try and stabilize?
Oh, it's very different.
FG king. Well, I mean, white still has a lot of threats in it. So.
He blundered something, no? You don't go f4 and gf rook d3.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. But it's still very difficult to play with black. I don't know what I want here. The rook on a7 is very, very out of play. And bishop e6, he takes b5. I'm immediately faced with a very unpleasant choice.
f6 played by Ding.
Yeah, f6 is his choice. Yeah, I think white probably is still better despite
c5. Huh?
c5 or even yeah, c5 is good. Yeah, c5 rook d8 played. Yeah, this has to somehow collapse probably. Then again, if you take, the rook might come to d7, and that will improve black's situation, maybe. Takes played. Knight f5, black takes twice, I suppose, and plays queen g4. This is not horrible. So how do we make progress? If we could somehow play bishop a2 and queen b3, this would be good. But the assumption has to be black. Yeah,
takes the
knight is hanging. Yeah, I will never have time enough for that.
Queen e2 plate.
Yeah, this probably...
rook a3 now?
Yeah, rook a3 is important. Queen d3, and now we can go bishop c7, I guess, to stop the queen from coming in. There are... yeah, I think you have to play bishop c7. What? Ah, okay, yeah, this will happen.
Bishop c7, knight ef5 was played.
Ah, and he has queen d7 check there in the end, so black might not be able to take on f5 here, even though even that position is not that clear. If you take, play queen g6, queen d7, king h6, the bishop on b3 is hanging, so... But maybe black can just play something like...
Something bad happens there now?
Yeah, king h8 probably, because if we... Or king f8, he played king f8, which is... well, rook d1 will create a mating threat of of queen d8 and rook d8 mate, but maybe...
Then bishop f5, no?
Then bishop f5 and e4.
Ef e4.
Yeah, ef e4 is very much in black's advantage. And also bishop e6 is a threat now. Magnus is still very comfortable on the clock, 4.5 against like 245.
Yep.
Yeah, very sharp game. Very sharp, very unclear game, and yeah, it's difficult. It seems like every white piece is on the proper square, but how do you make progress? You know, you can make a move like queen c2, but you feel like you're moving your pieces away from optimal squares.
Yeah, rook d1 for the cheapo, but Ding will not miss that and go bishop f5, e4, and you just probably don't win. You might lose. So
you might actually lose because queen takes g3 is a very, very large threat there. Yeah.
Magnus also taking his time.
Queen c2, queen g4 played. Yeah, queen g4 is an interesting move. Creates maybe a threat of rook takes b3, queen takes e4, and also the knight cannot really go anywhere. I thought knight e3, but queen h3 check is very awkward. Yeah, so it seems like Ding is
business.
Yeah. Because he blundered something like queen d2, queen h6 check, but I'm not sure this is even winning if you allow it. And also there's bishop takes f5 always.
F5, no? Queen
Yeah.
h6, queen g7.
Yeah, and prompt as clockwork, the choking conversation started because time to win now is ever present whenever Magnus plays chess. I don't see a good move, to be honest. I think queen g4 is very clever. Yeah,
Knight e3 maybe, but it's not the move you want to play.
you can play rook f3. I think it at least stops the threat of bishop rook b3, queen e4. But after rook f3, black can even maybe play h4, knight h4, queen h3 check, and start creating threats of his own. Yeah, I have a feeling this is just not good for white anymore. And he's also burned maybe a couple of minutes. He goes rook f3. I actually quite like h4 here. I think h4 is quite strong. Because if you take on h4, at the very least black gets to trade both the queens and the rooks, after which he should hold quite comfortably, I assume, even though the bishop on c7 will be completely dead. Like h4, knight h4, queen h3, king f2. And he has played... he took on f5 and played h4. This is very striking from Ding. Sort of going all in on making an immediate draw in this position. I'm not sure I like this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry for all the camera issues. They're driving me a bit insane, but I should try to focus on the game here. You can see the stream without lagging on the official side.
Yeah, I don't think I like this, because this rook endgame might be lost. It might be a draw anyway after queen g3, hg. But I thought h4 without taking on f5 was much stronger, unless I missed something important there. I'm not sure this is lost, to be honest. If you go for the rook endgame, it might still be a draw, because rook c6, king g5 is very strong. So maybe Magnus goes for something like bishop e6 here, but then bishop d8, and once again it feels like black should be fine objectively with the counterplay with the g-pawn.
So rook c7.
No, he played bishop e6,
yeah. Bishop e6.
He played bishop e6, bishop d8 played, and now he needs to win the c6 pawn as fast as possible without conceding too much ground on the king side. King h3 is a nice little quiet move to sidestep the rook a2 check, which will eventually happen. Bishop g5, rook c7. But yeah, you get the feeling that objectively black has more than enough counterplay. He never has rook a2. The bishop is on e6. Okay, that changes quite.
Still chances.
Yeah, that changes quite a bit, because I kind of assume rook a2 is coming, but
he found some mating
yeah,
nets.
he's found some mating nets. Yeah.
Whoa.
Bishop d2, I guess, is what you play here. You try to pick up the pawn on b4. You lose the rook
Bishop
there.
d2, rook g6, rook g4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bishop d2 played and rook g6 just wins, no?
Yeah, he wins.
Wow.
He wins the rook on a3 now. So neither of us got this one correct.
What a comeback by Magnus Carlsen. How did this happen after... Okay, we can wait for the end, but the rook is dropping, so Ding should resign any moment here.
Yeah. Well, people, I think judging from the chat, h4, where I was saying h4 was quite good, was actually quite good, and the decision to give up the pawn on f6 with check was not optimal.
Yeah. Magnus wins.
Yeah, Magnus continues absolutely cruising in the Armageddons.
That's what, 5 out of 5 in Armageddon?
Yeah, pretty much. He's also leading in a classical tournament, I think. Is anybody else in
+1 in classical? I guess Wesley and Levon also have +1.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it looks obviously somewhat more dominant. We'll look at the scores in a second. If you get 1.5 points for every draw plus Armageddon. Still, this talk that this format was invented to make Magnus more dominant, I frankly don't think he needed that after the recent results. He looked fairly dominant in Shamkir and Grenke, and I don't think that's... Well, I'm sure they wouldn't mind if Magnus won the tournament, the organizers of Norway Chess. But I think they just wanted more action. I would guess, at least. Anyway, this game is over. I'm not sure if the camera will ever come around to it or not, but Magnus wins.
People are saying that at some point Ding was on +7, and on move 40 bishop e6 was also winning. I suspect h4 was also quite strong. I keep on kind of hammering on about that, but bishop e6 is also a very cute little move, a bit further down the road.
Still a bit curious if we're getting back to analyzing what happened here, because c5, as we mentioned, looked very strong.
Yeah, that looked like such a Magnus move. Yeah, c5 and only then go for this.
He must have missed. Maybe just queen takes e3. Maybe he thought the queen was...
No, I'm pretty sure he missed f6 here after queen e5. Because f6, queen f7. Once again, it's sort of coming back to the Grischer game, because after queen e7, rook f7 there, you kind of feel entitled to take on f7 because there's a bishop on b3, but it's being blocked off by your own pieces. So maybe this is what he missed. And then it went kind of sharply downhill, and on move 40, as we mentioned, both h4 and bishop e6 probably.
And Breaker90 is pointing out that when the tournament format was announced, Magnus was in poor form. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, this f4 was a strange move. After that, the position gets... I don't know what it gets here. Unclear.
Yeah, this is very unclear, and arguably maybe even still better for white at some point, but then he misplayed it, I think. Yeah, and after king f8, queen c2, queen g4, yeah, it's bad. And here bishop b6 is winning, and let's check if h4 is any good, I'm just curious. No, h4 somehow is a draw after queen g2, although draw obviously is fine for black. Black will not be horribly disappointed with a draw in an Armageddon game, but bishop e6 was winning instead. So
yeah, once you spot it, also nice move to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, ding. Here he lost control, obviously, with a little time on the clock.
Yeah, probably still holdable, but not much fun. And
Magnus does not forgive. Picks up the rook here.
Yeah. Apparently, instead of bishop d2, bishop e3 is still a draw somehow.
Okay. Could be.
Yeah, but it doesn't really look like an obvious draw. I mean, the game would still continue. But yeah, not blundering the rook is generally a good idea in chess.
That's for sure. Was that all there is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is the round over? Let's look. 5 draws here. And then in the Armageddon.
Yeah, black won 3-2 today, because the draw in the Mamedjarov MVL game counts as a win. Which means that black is, what, 50% to +1 now? White were leading +1, but I keep on forgetting if that's after 5 rounds or after 4.
I can't count anymore. It gets too tough to count every day. I would guess it's 50% in Armageddon.
Yeah, it's around 50%. So in that respect, you can say that 10 versus 7 punt by the organizers seems to have worked out reasonably well. If it was completely lopsided in one side's favor, it would be a lot more.
Yeah, you could also argue that
upsetting.
Since Carlsen and Yu Yang-Yi are just winning every Armageddon with both white and black, as long as they get more or less balanced colors, the outcome will also be balanced.
Yeah, that is also true. And yeah, they do seem to be doing exceptionally well. Yu Yang-Yi won every Armageddon, but he only played 4, and Magnus won all 5 of his. So they are in the first and second place. Third is now Levon with 1 classical win and +1 out of his 5 Armageddons. And yeah.
Wesley on +1 in classical, but only -1 in the Armageddon, so he's in 4th.
Yeah.
Ding also +1 in classical, I would guess, but mixed fortunes, or bad fortunes actually in the Armageddon, 1 out of 5.
Not really doing that well on that count. And yeah, Vishy actually -1 in classical, but doing decently in Armageddons and keeping him very much afloat in the tournament. And the rest of the field is in the minus. And once again, Grishuk continues his really poor form, blundering a full piece today in one.
Yeah, that was a bit shocking. Because normally your hand, that just doesn't permit it. Anyway, would be sort of interesting to look at this cross table without the Armageddons, no? What would be? Carlsen, 3.5 out of 6.
Yeah.
Aronian, 3.5 out of 6. So, 3.5 out of 6. And Dink, 3.5 out of 6. All tied for the lead. While with the Armageddons, Carlsen is like 4 points ahead of Dink.
Yeah. The difference is quite dramatic. And also, Magnus, I assume, is losing quite a bit of rating despite leading the field by 1.5 points. So, there's this additional storyline to consider, because prior to the beginning of the tournament there was a lot of talk of him breaking 2900. Still, could still happen at some point, but this tournament is not helping.
Yeah, and then again, what does he need to keep his rating? Like 6 probably?
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
Still doable. But...
Yeah, but he has to get a move on now. He needs to win 2 out of the last 3 for that, and yeah, it has been kind of slow going. He was actually struggling today in the classical game against Ding.
Yeah, can't blame him for not trying, but yeah, it's just hard to dominate every event against the other best players in the world and also prepare for the things you've been doing in these previous events.
Yep.
And yeah, the draws are sort of coming in fast and furious. Now we had this bloodbath in round 3. But since then, out of the last 15 games, we've had 14 draws in Classical, if I
14.
count correctly. Yep, this is round number 4, where Grishuk lost with white to Yu Yang and Petrov. Could have been a draw as well, I would argue. Then round 5, 5 draws, and round 6, 5 draws. So yeah, bunch of draws there. What conclusions draw you?
Oh. Magnus good at chess.
Magnus good.
Yeah, elite tournaments very, very evenly balanced in general in Classical, and Eternal time travel doesn't seem to affect that as much as people maybe may have hoped. Interesting tournament. Hoping to get medical attention tomorrow.
Wow.
Those would be my sort of immediate conclusions for the time being.
So thanks a lot, Peter, for sitting through this excruciating play.
Excruciating, yeah. You can see.
Bringing all the action to us. Apologies for the camera. I will hope that we can.
And a somewhat relevant maybe quote in chat from our friend Ken, who for once does not use all capitals, and we always appreciate people bringing us news from the press conferences because we don't really have access to that. Carlson saying a very, very tiring day. This has become like a hospital. People are coughing everywhere.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
You're tired. Sick.
Yeah, and Grishuk generally doesn't complain about health issues if he doesn't have health issues, and he did mention, I think, after his round 2 game against Wesley that he wasn't feeling particularly well, and it may have influenced him. He is offering basically a draw on move 10, and maybe it's spreading.
Is that proper Russian conduct to not complain about health issues if you don't have health issues?
Hot takes everywhere, yeah.
That's the show for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back after tomorrow's rest day. Tomorrow there shall be Banter Blitz.
I might.
What time is your show? Your show is at 5? My show is after that at 7, I would guess.
Yeah, I might have to have it to do it standing up or something.
Wow.
We'll have to look at options.
Stand-up banter.
Stand up, yeah. And obviously, only you of us two should be doing stand-up banter because you have all the best jokes. But
Well, you have the best stories.
yes, but I do have the best and also the longest stories. My stories are interminable, and yeah, people have been known to abandon, sort of just lose every will to leave to midway through, and then. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, this is a.
Can you tell us Grishuk's joke about the Kozintsevas again?
Yeah, probably not.
Thank you guys for watching. See you tomorrow for the Banter Blitz, or the day after tomorrow for the final 3 rounds of Norway Chess. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, chat. Bye.
Bye.